Dun, dun. I need to unmute myself. I should unmute myself. That would be a great idea. If I want to start playing again. Hello, hello. Good evening. I am doing fine. How are you tonight? Today, this evening. You know what I mean. Yeah, hello. Hello. Hello, hello. Ah. Yes, on this fine Sunday evening. How are we all doing? I hope we're all doing well. Yeah, hello. Finally. Oregairu may have ended, but Yahalo lives on forever. In my mind. My hand hurts, but it's for art, so it's worth it. I mean, I know where you're coming from, but take care of your hand, okay? Especially if it's for art. Don't try to push your hand too far. You'll regret it otherwise. I know what I'm talking about. But yeah. You had several hour naps, so I'm good to go. Nice. That is very good. I also had a very nice rest last night. I slept for like... Well, according to my funny watch that measures, I slept for 11 and more hours, so that's good. Lives on for me until the light novel translation finishes. Exactly. Same for me. And I'm not even up to date with the light novel translation, so like... I don't know how it ends, and I don't want to know. I will read it at some point for myself. I do have the game though. Or like the games, plural. I think there were 2 games for the Vita, but they ported it in one for the PS4. Is this another Cafe Enchanter? It is not. I have a few to catch up on myself. It's not. We do have a cafe. Or like our grandma has a cafe, but actually we are part of a deaf game. We like died, but this goddess, the with the white grayish hair in the back, she was like, you have a second chance, and you guys all need to eliminate each other. Only one can live, and that one's death will be reversed. Everyone else will then suffer the fate they actually already succumbed to, but magic powers, whoa! Also, it is gay. So let's see. Let's see what happens. Last time, a child died. That wasn't... yeah, that's a great way to say it. No, last time we took on the wishes of a girl who would have succumbed to her very serious illness anyway. So yeah, that's what's happened. Totsuka is my actual favorite, but Yu is great and easier to reference, so I've stolen Yahalo for my own use. That is such a mood. Totsuka is also my favorite character. But Yui's Yahalo is so nice. It's iconic. Iconic. And I have to use it any chance I get. Alrighty. I prep to open the store as soon as I get back. And I am not actually in... There we go. A few people swing by, but no one stays for long because it's a weeknight. Once 9 p.m. rolls around, I close up shop. Miharu stops by around then, just like she said she would.
Yeah,
just so you know, this girl is also part of the death game. She's also kind of in love with us, and she has tried to confess to us, but like... we're like, no way, she's so perfect. She wouldn't actually love us like that. Because we are oblivious.
お疲れ様。コーヒー入れてあげるね。ありがとう。
Just how it be.
いいのかい?
Miharu is also very possessive. That she is. Miharu also said she would gladly give her life for ours so we would win the game. And we're like, please don't do that. I cannot promise you I would do the same. So that's a thing. Can I confess to her? I mean... You're probably going to get shot down, but I nod and follow up by telling her that we might be here for a while. After making enough for the both of us, I move over to our usual table. The one we have is G4. Oh. I actually have no clue where we left off last time. She wastes no time in getting to the meat of things. She takes a sip of her coffee before going on. Well, duh. Oh, that, okay. Right, for this death game to work, you need 3 cards of another person. You need to know their name, you need to know the cause of death, and the regret they died with. If you're in possession of these 3 cards, you can then call them out. Every Sunday there's like this weird thingy where they meet up when they're all asleep. Oh, well, not necessarily. If we go by Japanese time, they're asleep, but people from all over the world are included in this death game for some reason. And then it's like, I want to eliminate person 5. And if you're the only person who goes, I want to eliminate that one, then and you have the 3 cards, then you win, and that person gets not erased from existence, but like everything they did up to that point, ever since the original death, it's like it never happened. Which is how we are now in possession of 2 different people's like wishes to carry on, because we are like the only ones who remember them from those few weeks after their original death. Everyone else only remembers up to their death.
そうさ。君はソフィアが君のカードを持っていることを想定していなかっただろう。しかし、ソフィアは悪意があってそれを言わなかったわけではないらしい。
Wow, she says that Sophia didn't keep it without any bad intentions. Then that must be true. Like she didn't trust Sophia at all, right?
わかるよ。私は初めソーニャのことをすごく疑ってたから。仕方のないことだよ。もっともだからこそ僕はソフィアに確認をした。正確には僕たちのカードを持っているかということを。そして実際ミハルの使命のカードも持っていた。ああ。だがソフィアは信頼されないことを恐れずに最初に言っておけばよかったと後悔はしていたようだよ。
Wait, what card did Miharu take in the end? I don't remember. Our name, her own name, number 10's name, number 10's call for death, and number 10's regret. Didn't she take our name card? No, does that make... no. Did she? She took Rinka's cause of death. Ah. True, but why doesn't that show up on her card list then? Huh? Yeah, she took our cause of death. Why doesn't that show up? Maybe they forgot to put it in right after the fact. Maybe it's only there after we switched to another scene. No, that's weird because we... Okay, let's just... Who cares? I guess. Memories of us sitting together at this very table come flooding back. It was like we were nothing more than 3 friends hanging out.
僕としては11番の女性のように積極的に相手を脱落させている相手に僕のカードを取られるのは避けたかった。
That's why you showed everyone your name?
そしてそれ以上に君のカードを選ばれるのが怖かった。だからソーニャを指名したんだね。
I hesitate to press the issue any further, mainly because it involves questioning how she can be so calm and collected in the face of all this. It's entirely possible that I hear something I don't want to if I ask, and yet I end up asking her anyway. Don't say that.
悲しむことが本当に必要なことかい?
I can't bring myself to snap anything back to her. That's the exact response I was afraid I'd hear. It's not like I don't understand her point. I know that there's no point in being upset.
ミハルはそれでいいの? 構わないよ。君が選定の参加者
I mean,
と
what's
知った
done
時から
is done. It's not like you can reverse it.
君のために僕の命を捧げさせてくれ。
You're kind of putting a lot of pressure on me, Miharu.
もういい。もうそれは分かったよ。
I can't help but be blunt. While I expected such a reply, it's still not what I wanted to hear. I don't have it in me to say anything more, though.
気持ちの整理がつかないのも無理はない。昨日の今日だからね。そうやって悩めるのがきっと凛花の強さだからね。
The tone of her voice doesn't falter.
今日はもう終わりにしよう。しかし、存外話が早く終わってしまったけれど、
I feel like I need to
僕
up
はまだコーヒーを飲み終えていない。
the character voices a bit.
もう少しここにいていいかい?
My only response is a quick nod. Just as she said, I'm still distraught over what happened. What's worse, I seem to get more aggravated at night. I end up waiting for Miharu to finish her coffee. I can't bring myself to look her in the eye during that time, not even once.
では、僕はそろそろ行くよ。
It's like when the music is so loud, they get drowned out.
ごめん。ちょっと待って。
I think I'm gonna turn them up a little bit. Can I even put them up more? Oh, well. Me. I stop her just as she gets ready to walk out. There's still one important question left for me to ask.
ミハルの名前は、いろいろあるのは分かってるけど、前の名字はヘビナタなんだよね。私はミハルの名前を知っているのに、三島ミハルでカードは作られなくて、ヘビナタミハルがミハルの使命のカードだったよね。戸籍上の名前は、僕は三島ミハルだよ。
So what's the truth?
つまり、私の疑問っていうのは、カードが作られる基準がよくわからなくって。ああ、君の疑問はもっともだ。そして、きっとそれは選定において女神の説明不足な部分であり、
Oh.
ルールの穴と言うべきかもしれない。
I like loopholes in death games. I managed to catch a brief glimpse of sadness in her expression. There's no doubt that she's not very comfortable discussing the topic, and yet she's doing her best to act unfazed for my sake. I make no effort to stop her though. She knows that I've noticed, which is why she's bothering to explain it in the first place.
謝ろう。君には嘘を教えていた。
Okay. Her expression grows more pain as she says that. I feel kinda bad about it, so I can only imagine how she feels.
このことを説明するには、僕のことをもういくらか詳しく話さなければならない。
I mean, aren't we friends? Shouldn't we be talking about
僕の
each
名字
other?
は両親が離婚して変わったわけじゃないんだ。
Oh.
別の理由で僕はヘビナタからだが、僕の母親は君の知っている通り、あまり褒められた人間ではなくてね。いや、この際はっきりと言おう。僕は母親が嫌いだ。
Okay. She's talked to me about her mom before, albeit briefly. About her habit of wasting money and her failure to do any chores, for instance. That's why Miharu has several part-time jobs and has to deal with her household chores as well. Unlike most students at Amateur, she's far from financially sound. The only reason she can attend is due to her scholarship.
僕はできることなら父親の姓を名乗っていたかった。今でも
Oh, that's a new
そう
sprite.
できなくなってしまった運命を呪っている。
I sense that there's a lot more to this than what she's telling me. It's likely that everything she suffered through links back to whatever that could be.
この選定におけるカードのルールは 僕は全てが論理的なものではないと思う。いわゆる認知というものに頼りすぎている。
You can make blind guesses when it comes to someone's cause of death and regret cards. Knowledge of the events surrounding them is a requirement. Each participant's perception of those events takes priority. In other words, there's no universal criteria in place for participants when it comes to creating new cards. That's Miharu's point.
今回の場合もそうだ。僕は自分の名前が三島美晴だということを受け入れていない。
Oh.
だから美晴のカードは海老名美晴なんだね。
Oh.
きっと僕の心の奥深く、夢に現れる深層心理でも同じことを思っているのだろうね。
私は論理的かもって思うよ。そもそも名前って絶対的なものじゃない。生まれたばかりの赤ちゃんには名前がないもんね。名前は誰かがつけるものだから。
If it weren't for Keiko, I probably would have agreed with Miharu, but now this is how I truly feel. Surnames change all the time due to marriage. Not only that, but you can even get it changed legally if so inclined. It's not always cut and dry like that, sure, but names are still something that reflect a person's individuality over all else.
なるほど。認識自体が認知の上に成り立
Death
ってい
game
る
would
という。
probably be like, no one's getting death
その考えには及ばなかった。
dead names here. If your own personal perception is that you have a different name, then that is your name. That's nice. Fuck legal names.
僕は自分の名前に縛られていたからね。視野が狭くなっ
Not
てい
that
た
it
よ。
really matters in a death game, I guess.
大げさだよ。でも疑問は解消したって感じかな。
君を混乱させてしまっていたね。
みんなそれぞれいろいろあるでしょ。けど私にとって美晴は美晴だから、それは何にも変わることはないよ。くす。
She giggles with a smile in response to my proclamation, and it's not a forced smile either. It is sincere, one of relief.
話は変わるけれど、運命の大広間であんなことを言ったから、君に避けられないか心配していたよ。
You could probably continue playing like you don't get along during the Court of Fate, though. So the others would try and work, yeah, like force you against each other, and then you can
本当に
get behind someone else's back, maybe.
これで参加者のうちの何人かには僕たちが仲間割れしたと思い込ませることができたはずだ。
I have nothing more to say to you at the moment. The other participants must have figured out our friendship because of how we'd been talking to each other since the very first election. In fact, Sonia assumed that we were friends from the start too.
タイミングはバッチリだったね。
では、そろそろ行くよ。
Okay, I will see you tomorrow.
また明日学校で。
She smiles and makes an ever so elegant exit from the store. Funny, I made coffee thinking we'd be talking for a while, but the real conversation only began after we finished drinking it. I take a moment and stare at Miharu's empty cup before getting back to my usual routine. What's the usual routine? Going to sleep? I wonder if the game is really a full 12 weeks long, though. Like, they don't necessarily have to elect someone for elimination every week, right? I mean, it would make sense. Like, especially the ones that try to take someone else out of the picture, like, as soon as possible, but we would run out of people sooner or later, right? If they make it every week. I slept so soundly last night that I didn't even dreams. Hard to believe such a concept has taken on a whole new meaning for me. I'd never considered the possibility of a whole other world existing within our dreams, not to mention a goddess like Parker coming along and connecting me with others through said world. I mean, who could imagine meeting complete strangers within your own dream? It'd be a romanticized situation if this were a shoujo manga, I'm sure. I cast my mind back to the other participants' appearances. That's when I remember something crucial. Now you remember the old man? Naomi's message from yesterday springs to mind. She said that there's definitely something suspicious about the girl and where she's staying. It's not just any old man either, he's Japanese. That man is numeral 5. I might be onto something. Actually, I should have caught on right away. There's still plenty of time before I need to be at school. I want to try something. My decision made, I make my way to the old man's house. Fortunately, I make it all the way without getting lost. It's a pretty tricky route after all, but jotting down the address yesterday turned out to be worth it. But it probably would have been fine without it, considering I've somehow managed to memorize the route. I make sure to keep some distance away to avoid looking suspicious. It may be early in the morning, but people are still passing through. Once the area empties out, I check inside his mailbox. I feel pretty bad about doing this, but it's necessary. There's a slew of letters in here, definitely more than a day's worth. Most of them are from debt collectors. Not just from one collection agency either, there are multiple different senders. I ignore all that, grab a random letter and remove it from the box. I want to see to whom it's addressed, of course. What? I won't remember that name. That has to be the name of the old man living here. Just to be sure, I check a few other letters as well. They all cite the same name. All that's left is to get a glimpse on his face. I consider waiting for him to leave the house, but I need to remain mindful of the time. As important as this is, I still have school. Helps that I'm probably safest there too. Just as I decide to stick around for as long as I can, I notice 2 figures in the distance. 2 figures that I recognize even. One male, the other female. Both are foreigners and tall. It's probably our best friends, right? There's still plenty of distance between us, so I can't make out their faces. Not that I need to. I can tell it's them based on their silhouettes. Not only the participants, but they're also the most dangerous duo by far. Of course, it's our friends, numero 3 and 11, Federico Caminardi and his partner. I instinctively duck for cover. They have to be targeting the girl. Either that or they're looking into the relationship between her and the old man, just as I am. Assuming he turns out to be a participant, it's likely they've tracked him down to here. Numeral 11 is carrying a notepad. I assume she's gotten hold of his address somehow. In that case, they must be coming for him instead of the girl. After all, she wouldn't be listed as living here. Just as I am deciding whether to stick around or head to school, the front door gets propped ajar. Noticing this, the dude duck into a nearby alley. From what I can tell, numeral 11's the one who prompts him to do so. That surprises me. Shiro. She seems like the kind of person to leap in when the opportunity presents itself, so I don't expect her to tread carefully. Both the girl and the old man are likely aware of the situation they've put themselves in, so it's only natural for them to scout out their surroundings before they leave the house. Deciding that the coast is clear, the door swings open. Light pours out of my bag all of a sudden. The moment that old man steps out of the house, in fact. That's when I become certain that he is Ushisuka Shigetsugu. His appearance matches what I saw in a dream world, a tenacious-looking old man. I got the impression he was a shut-in of sorts before, but his current attire of a sweater and loose pants says the opposite. Numeral 11 Federico remained hidden for some reason. Regardless, I've confirmed that Ushisuka is a bona fide participant. It's safe to say that I'm putting myself in danger if I stay any longer. As such, I slink back to the station, taking care not to bump into any of the others. Well, I wonder who the next chapter or week is going to be dedicated to. I whisper to her dad when the old timer leaves his house. She may have whispered, but she also slams her foot down on mine. Gotta admit, she's uncharacteristically cautious at times like this. You'd think someone massive like her would charge right in, but nope. She even keeps us a fair distance from the house to ensure we aren't seen. Granted, putting this much distance between us means she gets that her massive body don't lend itself to stealth. Enough about her, let me recall how we ended up here in the first place. Me and her dad had to talk about who to target after the third election where that crazy thin Japanese lady got eliminated. Odette's intuition played a big part in us targeting Rose, so we still hadn't made use of the cards we were dealt at the beginning. Knowing there'd be a name or two among those initial cards, we decided to go after whoever was in my set. Normally I'd be against showing off my cards, but Odette told me which card she'd taken from Rose immediately afterwards, so... Well, not like she chose to do that without planning to get something in return. Turns out I had that Russian kid's name card, Sofia something something. The kid had been through some rough stuff, but it ain't any of my concern. We took her parents hostage and Odette got her to spill her life story. Thing is, she implied that she had one of Odette's cards. Not only that, but Odette decided to give her some time to screw around. Time to let her get over her regret, really. Can't say why she did it, but there ain't no point in trying to get into that woman's head. I wouldn't have been able to learn much about Sofia with just her name, so I decided not to complain. Had things gone according to plan, Odette would have eliminated Sofia, but that me had brought one-upped her. Make no mistake, Odette ain't the time to let something like that slow her down. We're the same in that regard. Plenty of things went awry alright for me back in Italy, but I never took issue with it. In fact, those situations are when people expose the worst side. You gotta make the most of that. Just like I said in the Code of Fate, 2 of the 3 cards dealt to me at the beginning belong to participants that have already been eliminated. Next up is numeral 5, Ushizuka Shigetsugu. Odette has his name card, so we use it to dig up dirt on him, and here we are. My poor plan.
なんでだよ。相手はジジイだ。と捕まえて情報を吐かせりゃいいだろうが。それか、あいつのいないうちに家に入っちまえばいいだろ。
There's like 500 eyes around here. Do you see all these housewives?
バカ勝ってんだ。これから通勤ラッシュの時間に入る。ただでさえ私らは
The housewives see everything. They know everything.
早朝か深夜にもう一度来る必要がある。ここは住宅街だからな。ソフィアやローの時よりも慎重に行かねえと。
俺より目立つのあんただけどな。
She smashes her foot down on mine again. Guess she isn't too pleased about the implication that she's the only one that stands out.
だけどさ、結局
Both of you stand out. You both look very non-Japanese.
いや、あの家がジジイの住処だってわかれば死因は予想できる。
ボロっちい家だが、それでわかるのか。いや、なるほどな、だからか。
珍しく察しがいいじゃねえか。言ってみろ。
Figured she spilled the beans if I acted like I caught on, but that didn't go quite as planned. Now I know not to even bother pretending. She smacks my shoulder before she continues.
他に身寄りがないジジイだ。日本じゃそういう連中が孤独死してしばらくしてから発見されるってのは問題になってるらしいじゃねえか。
That's what you... That's what... To be fair, the last time I ever saw a Japanese character wearing a very specific colored suit was Phoenix Wright, and his is bright fucking blue. The funniest thing to me is though how Federico is like taller than the game screen. Like the top of his head, you see the top of his head, right? Gets cut off.
日本は特に閉鎖的なコミュニティ。
Which just makes Odette a little more frightening if you think about how tall she is.
腐った死体やらの清掃なんかを専門にしてる業者すらあるらしい。てめえが話を聞いた主婦の言葉を思い出すな。
He's definitely wearing shoes with heels. Yeah, he probably has insults in his shoes.
まあベラベラと喋る太った主婦だったな。
It's actually one of the I think back to what she told me. Seems like there were rumors of him kicking the bucket since he rarely left the house. Ah, they probably talked to the same housewife we talked to.
先進国で餓死はないんじゃないか。金の補助は国から受けてたんだろうし。
If he has debt collectors at his door, he probably did not.
そうでもないさ。あの主婦はジジイが腰を痛めてることも話してただろ。
Yeah, that's right, she did. Don't know why she remembers more of this stuff than me when I was the one who talked to the woman.
ひどい腰痛ってのは自力で動けなくなることがある。私が船に乗ってた時にもそうなっちまった乗組員はいた。
I am... It's those really small things, but... Look at that. A shipmate? They couldn't bring themselves to move an inch? Thank you, game.
ジジイが家で突然そのレベルの腰痛に襲われたとしよう。元から患ってたんなら突発ではねえけど。とにかく孤立しているから助けを求められない。近所の連中もジジイが家から出てこないのは慣れっこだから気にしない。金だけもらって介護を受けてるわけじゃねえから短期間じゃ訪問もねえ。人間は7日飯を食えなかったらあるいは3日水が飲めなければ死ぬんだ。私はよく知ってる。
I can tell she's serious by the tone of her voice. Knowing what she's been involved in, I wouldn't be surprised if her crew had come close to starvation at some point. That or she's seen it happen to one of her shipmates before.
重度の腰痛で動けなくなっちまい、 助けも呼べずそのままガチか。ありえない話じゃないと思うが、そんな早く。
A familiar light emanates from my book. The sign that a new card's been made. The same thing happens for Dad too. When she notices, she can't help but grin. It's honestly sickening just how good she is at this. Wow. He actually died from starvation.
ソフィーなんじゃらの時もそうだったが、選定の間は体がある程度回復している。
We only saw his bride like once.
てめえの予想の通りだろうな。肉体の状態はどこかの時点まで戻されるって考えた方が良
Pretty
さ
terrible
そう
way
だ。
to go, absolutely. Like that's gotta be suffering through and through until you, like you feel your body like losing its strength. That's not. She nods in reaffirmation after repeating what I said. I half expected her to say she doesn't care, so it takes me by surprise. Her expression reverts to its usual state, and then she turns
ほ
around.
らよ、十分収穫はあった。いい加減戻るぞ。
We head back the way we came, making sure not to be spotted by Ushizuka. Unbeknownst to Rinka, Ellen has been tailing her for the past few days. It brings him to the residential district where Ushizuka Shigetsugu, whose name he has yet to learn, live. Fucking hell. What's more, he has learned the whereabouts of both her school and Lion House. Seeing that she's making her way to school after obtaining the elderly man's name card, he chooses to stop tailing her for the time being. Wow, ain't that nice? I love being tailed by a guy who could probably kill me with his bare hands. He closes his eyes and recalls her figure.
Rinka.
Eliminating her would prove a simple task were he to actually actively focus on it. However, a number of reasons prevent him from doing so. The first is her relationship with numeral 2, Mihanu. She may have gone to lengths to make it seem like they had a falling out, but Alan witnessed them being friendly at Lion House. It confirmed to him that they are still cooperating. One cannot target Shishimai Rinka without first dealing with Hibinata Mihanu. Alan has no idea which card she was dealt at the beginning either, which is the main reason for his hesitation in getting involved with her. Her actions during the previous election show that she cannot be underestimated. She may have eliminated a girl far younger than herself, but she went head-to-head with numeral 11 to obtain election rights. The biggest reason of all, however, is that Alan has found himself under suspicion from Japan's police. His recklessness while obtaining Kamuguchi Keiko's information has landed him in a tight spot. Ha! He made sure to scout out the positions of each camera in the hospital and cut off those he couldn't avoid, but something unexpected happened. He somehow ended up on a list of suspects responsible for the attack on the hospital. Under normal circumstances, he would use illegal means to ensure that he would not be arrested, but his current situation does not allow for that, especially because he holds far less influence in Japan than back in India, where his company is based. He may have some leeway, but now is no time to flex those muscles. Valid as these reasons are, Alan is simply using them as a means to distract himself from the reality of the matter. There's a far simpler reason behind his choice to not pursue Rinka, one that he had noticed earlier. The look in her eyes, it reminded him of himself. Not only does she lack his amassed fortune, but she's also nowhere near as physically imposing, and yet somehow her eyes burned with a determination matching his own.
それよりも
Alan has a chance to learn the old man's name the same way that Rinka did, but he opts not to. To be more accurate, he can't. This is thanks to his spotting a particular duo keeping their eye on the old man's home, numerals 3 and 11. Alan arrived after Rinka's departure, so they likely had no idea she was also there.
11番の女は確か5番使命を取得していた。
There was more than enough reason to understand why she was here. Well, with sufficient connections at one's disposal, learning where someone lives based on their name alone is a simple feat. What surprises Alan is the fact that someone like her would cooperate with numeral 3. Wait. No, right. For some reason, I thought for a second that Alan now thinks that we, Rinka, are cooperating with Federico, but that's not. The sheer stupidity he displayed in the Court of Fate had Alan convinced that he could be left for later, but that was no longer the case if he was numeral 11. It may not seem like it, but Alan has respect for those who have eliminated other participants. Only 2 people have earned his respect thus far. One is Miharu, and the other is numeral 11. Alan can also tell that the latter is no ordinary person. One glance was all he needed to understand her background and the deeds in which she had been involved. Based on what he's seen, she seems to have the upper hand with numeral 3.
男の方は手足か。あ、まあいい。今すべきは。
His target switches from the old man to those two. Are you stupid? Is this a matter of pride? Wouldn't it be easier to get rid of the old man? You can very easily get his name card. Right here. And he wasn't his kind of thing, like, to get the name. Oh, fucking hell. Keeping an eye on him will likely lead to him getting his hands on numeral 5's information without much effort. Not only that, but discovering where they're based now while unaware of his plans will give him the advantage down the line. That may be enough to make up for the disadvantage his celebrity status gives him. He begins to tell the two, taking extra care to not to be noticed. What's this now? I follow you, you follow me, but no one knows who's following who? Soon after, Alan returns to the residential district. His attempt to tail them hasn't ended as well as hoped. Not from being noticed, though. Alan trusts himself to not slip up when it comes to that. However, those two must have unconsciously taken a path to shake any potential pursuers. It eventually led to him losing sight of them.
やはりあの女が優先か。
He mutters to himself so as not to stand out. Why don't you just think it to yourself then? That way you will stand out even less than when you just to yourself. He then makes his way back to his own base of operations. The time has come for him to finally take action. What do you mean finally? He has already eliminated 2 people. Oh yes, finally, I will take action. After a long day, I finally have some time to relax in my room. Nothing noteworthy has happened beyond this morning's events, although I guess the fact that my class has finally gotten around to prepping for the culture festival counts as noteworthy. Sounds like they've moved forward with the fortune teller idea. The one in charge will essentially prepare a bunch of fortune telling methods and use them on whoever steps by. They've gone with this plan because the one in charge wants to test out these so-called methods. Fortune telling, reading one's fate. Funny how they've ended up with that after the things I've experienced. At least I'm not involved in plans or being asked for my opinion. They're just gonna ask me and Miharu to help the day off. If he doesn't mumble it, I can't get the line right from his voice actor. They could, though. It could still make him think it. Mao, on the other hand, seems fascinated by the whole thing. She'll be helping to prep it as well as work longer than we will during the festival.
真面目な顔して思わせぶりなこと言っておけばいいんだよね。うち得意な気がする。
I love Mao. Just what you'd expect to hear from her. I wonder if they managed to finish everything on time since the culture festival's in 2 weeks. Finally, he can commit butter on purpose. I bet we're the only class this far behind schedule. I already feel exhausted and it's barely 10 PM. Oh, that's a mood. Well, it makes sense considering I left the house so early this morning. Ushisuka Shigetsugu. I repeat the elderly man's name in my head to make sure I don't forget it. Now I have to find out this cause of death and regret, but I'm not quite sure how to go about it. I'm still curious about the girl staying with him too. While I do have a cause of death card, all I know is that a fire is involved, nothing else. It's probably the biggest issue with the cards dealt to us at the beginning.
問題はここからどうすればいい？
Yeah, well, we as players know that is the same fire that Rinka died in, but she wouldn't. As if things aren't difficult enough, I've got Federico and numeral 11 to worry about as well. Things may have gone well enough yesterday and today, but it doesn't mean I'm a pro when it comes to tailing people and such. It's entirely possible that I mess up at some point and get myself stuck in a tight spot. Regardless, I can't sit back and let those two get the upper hand. One option is to throw caution to the wind and approach Ushisuka directly, but that's too risky. Numeral 11 would likely end up adding me to her list of targets alongside him and the girl if I did that. I tried searching Jesus Christ! Ushisuka Shigetsugu on the internet, but I don't get any relevant results. Getting info on him without putting myself out there seems tricky. I can't just waltz over to City Hall and ask for his family register when I'm completely unrelated to him either. That's why I'm going to try to approach things from a different angle. I do have an advantage over that duo. A majority of the participants, myself included, are from Japan, plus most are located near Shinjuku, an area rich with schoolgirls just like me. It keeps me from standing out in most situations, which is advantageous. The only issue is that the sole approach I can think of involves questioning the locals near his residence. Actually, that might not be too bad of an idea. I did shuffle over there pretty early this morning, so there weren't many people around. It's probably why those two showed up when they did too. They aimed for a time when few people would be around. You should just probably take care, like, do something about your hair. It's hardly normal to ask questions about some random old man, but hey, I'd still seem less suspicious than either of those two doing the same. If I really need to, I can even pretend to be the granddaughter of an ex-wife or something. I just need to act like Naomi did at the hospital where Keiko was. I'll try going in the evening. Everyone's running around shopping around then. Not only does it give me more people to question, but I can also blend into the crowds if need be. With that sorted, I should sleep as much as possible, so I'll be ready to take action. But just as I'm about to turn off the lights, I hear a distinct meow coming from down by my feet. It's none other than Leith, our friendly little freeloading cat. Lete. Okay, never mind, it's not Leith, it's Lete. I always make sure to feed it and have water out so it doubt it's hungry. It doesn't respond to my question, of course. It'd be pretty freaky if it did. Oh, Rinka. I've seen worse. I don't trust that cat being a normal cat. I want to give it some attention, but I'm a bit too tired tonight. I flick the light off and clamber into bed. Lethe follows suit, which is rare. It prefers to sleep atop the covers, not under them. This little rascal has the habit of using my stomach as its pillow, too. I stroke its head for a moment before shutting my eyes and focusing on sleep. It's amazing how warm something with such a tiny body can be. Listen, I love cats, but I do not trust that cat. Hello! Hi! Good evening! There's a term for when one realizes they're dreaming, lucid dreaming. Ever since Divine Selection began, I've experienced it at least once per week. Granted, I'm not quite sure that you can call what goes on in the Curse of Fate a dream. Whatever, I find myself once again in a strange place, despite knowing for a fact that I went to sleep not long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah! I am betting a lot of money on you being the cat.
お久しぶり。でもないのかな。私は人間の時間の感覚がよくわからなくてね。
I've seen this man once before. It's only now that I remember having met him in my dreams before, though.
私のことは覚えているかい？いや、今思い出したのだろうね。君が君の大事な記憶を忘れてしまっているように、この夢の中での出来事も忘れてしまうという必然性があるからね。
I want to say something, but I find myself unable to speak. He dominates the conversation.
君はコーヒーのお店をやっているそうだけれど、私は紅茶の方に興味があってね。
Go to a tea shop then.
一度アフタヌーンティーというものを楽しみたいと思っているのだけれど。
Go to a tea shop then!
もっともこの夢の世界では一緒に語り合う相手がいないどころかティーセットというものが存在しないこと自体が残念だよ。
Okay. This man knows who I am. I'm not sure how important that realization is when I'm likely to forget everything he says, though.
さて、そろそろ雑談もいいだろう。今夜はもう一つ君の抜け落ちていた記憶が舞い戻ってきたのだからね。お祝いの言葉を告げるためにわざわざ出向かせていただいたよ。
What do you want from me, bro?
どんな記憶かって？おっと、君が夢の中で記憶を取り戻す前に出てきてしまったね。やはり人間の時間の概念は難しい。一方的に流れるだけではあるのだけれど、感覚がつかみにくいよ。では、朝を迎える前に少しだけ。
Do you want me to remember my death again? What do you want me to do? Uh-oh. I'm standing alone in the Court of Fate. I'm on the same platform as usual, but for some reason none of the other participants are here.
ごきげんよう。運命の奴隷となってしまった哀れな子
Oh,
羊様。
maybe our first time when we met Parker? Because she said she told us all about this already when we met her. A girl dressed in all white addresses me. It's Parker. She stands in front of me despite the fact that there's no solid surface beneath her feet. I watch from a distance as both of us face one another. I conclude that this is one of my memories since I'm able to watch myself as though I'm a third party.
命を落としてしまったあなた様の精神は今、運命を
Yeah,
さ
this
ま
is
よってらっ
definitely
し
the
ゃいま
first
す
time we
わ。
met her that we forgot about before.
ですが、あなた様は改変された運命の中で女神の選定の参加者になっていただきます。
She begins to tell me about divine selection. She explains all the rules. I watch myself try to get a word in every now and then, but she ignores each attempt. Everything she's explaining here is the exact same as what she told us during the first election. Memories of an explanation I had heard before. This must have taken place right after I died then. Considering the in-depth explanation she's giving, it's no wonder she was unimpressed with me when I asked her about it again. Well, remembering this explanation of rules I already know is more pointless than one would expect too.
ただし忘れてはいけないことが一つございます。あなた様方12人は皆12週間後の同じ時、同じ場所にいた可能性を持っていました。
Alright.
一度は失われてしまった未来で到達していたはずの場所。
True.
その場所こそ
Originally we were planned
運命の
to
終着点となります
die
わ。
12 weeks from our initial death.
選
And all of
定で最
the
後の
other
一人
people
と
as
なら
well
れ
for
まし
some
たら
reason.
必ずその時までに
Which
そ
is
の場所へ
weird.
向かってくださいませ。
Because like what reason would some of the others have had to be in
運
Japan
命の終
probably?
着点にたどり着いて初めてあなたが死の運命を回
Or
避
like
し
where would
生
we
き残ること
be
ができたという
if
運
not
命が
in
定着い
Japan
たしますわ。
12 weeks from now on
も
why?
し運命の終着点にたどり着かなければそれはその時のお楽しみということにいたしましょう。
Japan is the center of the universe, clearly. Ah, yes! She didn't mention a specific time or place. Instead, she placed her finger on my brow. She closed her eyes and then her finger began to glow. She didn't need words for this part. With that touch, Parker etched the final destination into our minds. Oh. Well, that's good, I guess. Am I, the player, also allowed to know? No. I guess not. My eyes strolled open after a night of sleep. I remember exactly what I saw in my dream. Immediately after my death, I was taken to the Coil of Fate and met with Parker. She explained all the rules that I had heard during the first election. No wonder she was so unimpressed when I asked again. I'm fairly sure... Bleh. Okay, I'm fairly sure she told me my cause of death and regret as well, but I can't remember any of that. I remember something far more important though.
運命の終着点。
This was the first time I'd heard of it. Becoming the final participant alone isn't enough. I will need to get to this place afterwards. It's a place I know quite well.
あの
It's the park!
ナオミと話した。
Haha, we actually get to know as well. Thank you, game. It's a huge park located in Shinjuku. A plaza from which you can see a clock tower-esque building in the distance is there. It's one of my favorite spots. That's where all 12 of us are meant to gather, the final destination of our individual fates.
まさか
I hate the words final destination. I have never seen those movies, but I still hate the words final and destination right after each other. It's hard not to be surprised. That park is pretty close to my home. 12 weeks after divine selection begins, or 7 weeks from now. The weather will likely be nice, so I can't say that I wouldn't have gone for a walk there. This looks like quite an interesting game. It is! It is. So far, I can definitely recommend it, and we're not... well, I don't think we're too far in, to be honest. Like, not even half, probably. Besides, it's also a popular tourist spot. Sonia mentioned that she planned on coming to Japan with her family in the first place. It wouldn't be surprising if she would have gone there with them. As for the others, I'm not sure why they'd go there. But the fact remains that it's a popular spot. There are plenty of reasons to check it out. It also explains the déjà vu I felt there when talking to Naomi. Parker had shown me that scenery once before. I'm not sure how to describe the sensation I experienced when she did so. I guess it'd be similar to the feeling you get when you're dreaming.
そういうことだ。
Please, absolutely do. It's on Steam. It's not too expensive, I think. I missed the first one, that's okay. If there's anything you don't understand, feel free and I'll try to explain it like really quickly. I can finally answer a number of questions that I've been asking myself. It explains why most participants are Japanese as well as why those who aren't have gathered in Japan. Parker never did explain why that place is our final destination. Much like how she never discussed how or why divine selection exists, she probably deemed it to be unnecessary information. Either way, I've managed to regain an important memory regarding the whole process. By the time I finished processing this revelation, I noticed that a certain feline isn't beside me anymore. Yeah, because it's a strange man and not a cat. Guess it slinked off at some point while I was asleep.
まったく
I disappoint. Hello! Welcome! We're dealing with disappearances. I let slip an awful cat pun without even thinking about it. At least there's no one at the door. I might have gone ahead and elected myself for elimination if someone caught me saying that. It wasn't that bad, Dinka. Just as I start to get ready for school, I check the time and my heart nearly jumps out of my throat. I must have been in a pretty deep sleep. I woke up half an hour later than usual. Oh no, half an hour later. Ooh. Oh no. I've been getting up like 20 minutes before I have to go to work lately, so... Just turn around the cards like you're done with the game of Uno. Here we go again, loitering around Ushizuka Shigetsugu's house. Seems like he's the kind of guy who enjoys his morning walks. He might be happy that he doesn't need to worry about his back pain, but come on, how does anyone enjoy walking the same path over and over again? Whatever, the only thing we care about is that there's no one home this time of day. We're trying to think of a way to sneak in while he's out, and when I asked Odette what we do inside, she gave me a quick answer. Half an hour is such a deep sleep, that's basically the whole day. They pick you just to pull out the reverse card. I mean, I think technically you can do that. If someone is, like, if Rinka were to say, I want to eliminate number, who's still in the game? Number 3, right? Let's just say if we were to get all 3 cards of Federico and we would say, I want to eliminate number 3, and then he could say, I want to eliminate number 1, if he has all of our cards. I don't know what would happen then. Technically, we would have priority because we were first, right? But that wouldn't be fair. Oh, I don't know. Not that any more needs to be said. It's pretty obvious what we'll do. The only piece of info we're missing is his regret. Chances are he's been living here forever based on the crappy condition of his house. That means he'll have stuff that's been sitting around for ages. The kind of stuff that'll point us toward his regret most likely. So basically, we gotta find keepsakes or mementos that links to the life he's led. We'll probably also alert like everyone. Trust her to make it even more obvious that she's about to commit a crime. Jeez, ain't no way we can get away with doing that in a place like this. It's not the middle of the night either, it's still way too early in the morning. We at least avoided the morning rush, but it doesn't mean the streets are empty. I let out an exasperated sigh, loud enough for Odette to hear before offering my own suggestion. What do you mean thanks to your time in the mafia? I thought you're still a mafioso. Did he leave the mafia? Huh?
最新式の鍵なんか無理だろうがな。3分程度でいい。人が来ないかを見張っててくれ。あのじじいは孤立してるが、
That's a lot of text in one text box.
鍵をこじ開けてたら通報される。
OK。ま、たまにはてめえにも見せ場を作ってやる。
Let's break into old guys' homes. Just as she shoots a smoke at me, someone makes their way out the house. Bingo, he's off for another morning walk. After making sure he's far enough away, we slip over to the door. Wait. They're not aware that the girl is living with him, right?
任せた。しかしよ、てめえあのじじいが出てくるところ見てたろ。おう。あいつ、鍵閉めてたか？あ。
I get what she's talking about. He never did turn around to lock the door after leaving. When I think about it, he didn't lock it yesterday either. I guess that's why Odette never mentioned anything about the lock in the first place. I bite my tongue to stop myself from cursing at her before twisting the doorknob. Let's not! Well, let's do break into people's houses, yes, but let's not break open locks. So much for getting my time to shine. I open the door, remove my shoes, and carry them in one hand as I make my way in. The interior looks the way I expected. Dilapidated wooden furniture, newspapers and magazines littered all over, etc. But holy hell is it small. I don't know if it's normal for Japanese houses or not, but you can barely fit anything in here. In fact, me and Odette can't stand shoulder to shoulder without getting pressed against the walls. That's because both of you are too big for a Japanese house.
Hello, good evening.
Her expression is glowing as she opens and closes her hands in a grabbing motion. We We probably don't need to worry about being loud while he's out, but I'm not too comfortable with Odette speaking at the typical volume. Ah! Ha! I knew it! See? See? They didn't know that the girl is living with... Ha ha ha. That little question takes us by complete surprise. It's a kid's voice.
Huh?
I don't recognize the voice either. That Jesus is supposed to be living by himself, so there shouldn't be anyone else here. I know I didn't imagine it though. Someone definitely called out to us.
厄介だな。
あ？
二人いるんだね。
The voice is more clear this time, but I can't tell if it's a boy or girl. Definitely a kid though.
聞いたことがある声だ。夢の中で。お前たちの声は知っている。
Please don't tell me that this child is blind. Well, that helps to explain things. Ain't no doubt about it now, the run's a participant. Based on the voice, it's gotta be numeral 4.
ブランク。てめえが白紙のガキだな。
The what now?
3番と11番の人たち。まさか2人が協力していたなんて。
ジジイと4番のガキが協力していたなんて。
We express our mutual disbelief simultaneously. With that out of the way, the kid approaches us. Looks to be just over 5 feet tall. Ain't Japanese based on the facial features, that's for sure. Looks real young though, I guess they're in the middle of puberty, so 13 or 14. The voice hasn't broken either, which makes it a doozy to discern gender. Ha! Ha ha! No gender in this house! I claim this child. Also, thank you for the hydrate temp and posture check. Hold on. I claim this child. We don't need gender in this house. Based on the overall figure though, I guess female. Fuck you.
な、さっきのどういうブランクってのがこいつの使命なのか。
I wish Federico were very die.
言ってなかったな。こいつの使命は私の初期カードの1枚だ。
What do you mean was?
だが言った通り、内容はブランク。白紙で何も書かれちゃいなかった。直接会えばわかるとも思っていたが、残念。まだわかってね
Hey.
えな。
Kid's expression shifts upon hearing Odette's claim. The guard has just gone up.
ブランクってのは名前がないってこと。
Reject gender, return to monkey.
さあな。どうなんだ？教えると思う？はん。
The kid tries to provoke Odette with a glare, so she scoffs back.
まあそれは僕自身知らないから答えられないんだけど。
Oh.
選定に参加しているのは分かっているけど、どうして死んだのか、それまでにどうやって生きてきたのか、自分の名前さえも分かっていない。
記憶喪失ってやつ。
I mean, you bombed a train car?
女神は不親切だな。その状態で選定に参加させるとは。肉体だけまともにすりゃいいわけじゃなかろうに。
We don't know why though.
公平性なんてありゃしねえ。
妙に同情してるな。
同情じゃねえよ。哀れみだ。
How are you supposed to participate in this game if you don't even know anything about yourself? Like, that's fucked. The Grinka didn't know, still doesn't know her regret, but like at least she still knows who she is and everything, right? With that, she moves her sights back into the kid.
GG とは協力しているのか？協力？知らないよ。僕たちはただ普通に生活しているだけだ。選定に参加する気はないからね。なんだって？
おとなしく死んでもいいってことか？
そうじゃない。お前たちが脱落させ合ってくれれば、最後に残るのは僕たち2人だ。
That is very true.
2人残ったら、おじいちゃんに生きてほしい。おじいちゃんは迷子になっている僕を助けてくれた。選定の参加者だと分かっているのに家に引き取ってくれた。記憶がないから未練も分からないんだよ。でもおじいちゃんと暮らすのは楽しいから、僕は少しでも長い時間この生活を続けたい。
Both of us are staring the kid down, but they don't flinch in the slightest. Normally I call bullshit on a story like that, but the kid's different. The expression makes it clear they ain't lying.
もう察しはついてると思うけどよ。私らはこの家にジジイの未練の手がかりになるものがないかを探しに来たんだ。
未練？おじいちゃんの死因じゃなくて。
残念だったな。てめえの大切なジジイの死因はもう見つけてる。
Why would you blab that to an enemy, Federico?
そう。ならおじいちゃんの情報に関わるものは絶対に見つけさせちゃいけない
Like,
ね。
yeah, actually we have that
だから
already.
お前たちをおじいちゃんの家には入れさせない。
They have set foot into this house already. The louded tone of the voice making their threat obvious to us both. This sudden shift takes me by surprise, but I mean, we're dealing with a kid.
つまりジジイの未練につながるものがこの家にはあるわけ。あるいはてめえ自身が知っているか。
どうして？
てめえはいちいち迂闊なんだよ。喋りすぎだ。
そっか。おじいちゃん以外の参加者に初めて会ったけど必死なんだね。だから僕の一言一言を注意して聞いている。
おい、もういいだろ。これ以上このガキと話してても仕方がない。
Fit Ada Ada energy. No, I don't think she would do an Ada Ada. I think she would, if like, hey, with that, can I get an Ada Ada? And for every Ada, she would just like punch you in the face. Like, one's on the left and one's on the right. I glance over at that to get her agreement. She smiles and nods in
た
response.
まにはてめえとも気が合うな。こうなっちまった以上。
I don't think her dad
こい
knows
つ
what
を
Ada
黙
Ada
らせ
is.
ジジイが戻ってくる前に家を捜索する。
Like, Ada Ada is that something to eat.
ジジイが帰ってきたところで黙らせるのは問題ねえが、選定までまだ数日ある。その間に警察を呼ばれたら面倒だ。
I'm thinking the same thing. Things will get real annoying real fast if someone were to cause a ruckus here. Our passports and stuff might be good fakes, but it'd be tricky to sneak around with the police on our asses. We ain't the most decent people in the world either. They find plenty to hold us on if they're given a reason to check our histories.
この家には監視カメラも
She
ない。
knows Oda Oda!
てめえを喋れない状態にしちまえば、それで十分だ。
言っておくが、俺たちにかなうと思うんじゃねえぞ。
てめえは自分より弱そうな相手に対しては強気だな。
うるせえ。
Both of us move toward the kid, but they still won't budge. Hell, they provoke us even more.
おじいちゃんは僕が守るよ。
I love your design.
いい度胸。
Gamma!
おい、私は入り口の方を見てるから、てめえで片付けろ。
任せな。
The quickest way to shut someone up is to crush their throat. It won't kill them, but it'll keep them from singing for a few solid days. I step forward through the narrow hallway, my hands up aimed at the kid's throat. They manage to move quickly enough to dodge under me.
しっくりだ。
It's pretty common for smaller targets, but in the end a kid's just a kid. I've got the longer reach, not to mention the physical advantage. They turn their back to me and make their way further into the house.
逃げるのか。
All I've done is move into another room. Noise travel's pretty easy in a cramped house like this, so as long as it ain't one of them ninja houses, it shouldn't be hard to find them.
逃げないよ。
They pop back out from the room they ran into. I kick at them with my left leg. It creates enough distance so that it won't be able to reach me.
こんなの。
They dodge under me again, but it's not a big deal. As I bring my leg back down, I smack the kid with the back of my heel. It connects with the shoulder, causing them to falter for a moment. I was aiming for the head, but he ducked out of the way in time. When my foot planted back on the ground, I move in for the kill again.
おいバカ、下がれ。
Wait. Before I can react, the kid has slid right beneath me. They used the impact from my heel hitting them to close the gap between us. Don't tell me the brat actually let themselves take the hit. It's too late for me to do anything, no? I have no idea if I managed to let out a scream or not. I tried to block it, but there was no way. The kid clenched her fist and let loose with a flying uppercut straight into my crotch. Before the pain kicks in, I lose all feeling in my body for just a moment. And then the sharpest of pain rushes through me, almost like the organs above my crotch. My hands cover my crotch and reflex. flex as I crumple to my knees. Good fucking bye, Federico. It's because Berlusconi had gotten popular. I have no clue who that is. Okay, a Pikachu for the poor man's crotch.
Pikachu. Pika pika. Pikachu.
Mafia man died twice. They don't stop there though. Pain starts to rush to my shoulder next. This isn't pain from a blunt strike though. It's from a sharp object.
外したか
Holding a knife in her right hand, which she used to stab my shoulder. Fortunately, it hit the seam of my jacket, so I got away with a minor cut. They must have run into the room to grab the knife, so I assume it was the
お
kitchen.
かしいな頸動脈を狙ったんだけど
I do my best to collect myself, but the pain from my crotch is making it easy to move. Yeah, baby, kill him! Then I retract the knife and take aim for a second stab. Somehow I managed to throw myself out of the way just in the nick of time. Although doing so leads to me face planting into the floor. I turn to face them and I see no hesitation on their face whatsoever. At least the pain's starting to fade. I raise my knees in order to kick myself back into my feet and dodge the knife. Turns out it isn't a plan of attack. Instead I can tell another shot at my crotch is coming. Not wanting to experience that again, my body unconsciously ducks in order to dodge it.
今度こそ
The next moment, a mammoth shadow passes over top of me. Odette has launched her massive leg right into the kid. They block with both arms crossed in front of the face, but the impact still sends them flying across the hall.
てめえはバカかあんなガキに負
He
けやが
should
って
be enough for humiliation alone.
負けて
You're
ね
fucking pathetic, Federico. Nobody in the world would believe that. If I'm being honest, I'm terrified by how focused they were on decimating my loins. Please stop referencing. Are you okay? The kid flings the knife across the hall towards us. Odette dodges the release, which leads to it clattering harmlessly on the floor. But the knife wasn't twirling around or anything in midair, it flew straight as an arrow.
てめえ何者だ
僕もわからないよでも体が勝手に動くんだ
I don't want to know what kind of life you led prior to your amnesia.
記憶喪失だろうが体に染みついた技術ってのは体が覚えてるらしいからな
Odette plucks the knife from the floor and chucks it back at the kid with even greater speed and precision. They knock it aside with a frying pan they've grabbed from nearby before scuttling off into the room across from where they got the knife. It was a tiny window of opportunity, but they took full advantage of it.
また武器かおい早く立て
I jump to my feet the millisecond she shouts at me.
今度は何だ
Nothing, they're probably going to take off and get to safety. Never mind!
殺そうとしたからダメだったんだ選定中
I would have taken off without another word. They reappear muttering something at
これ
us.
でどう
Uh-oh. They brandish something in both hands, which they then heave towards us. Guess I'm the target again.
当たるかよ
Looks like they decided to chuck screwdrivers this time. 4 of them, each around 4 inches long, are heading my way. Not like they're hurt unless they catch you right in the eyes or mouth. Not great weapons, unlike the knife. All 4 scatter across the floor as I dodge them with a backstab. But that charges in as soon as I step back to evade the flying tools.
こっちは2人だ忘れちゃいけね
You're going to double team a kid? She prepares to use a spin kick.
えあ
Kid must have seen it coming though. They grab Odette's leg with their left hand and propel themselves upward in what looks like a handstand. The ceiling is low down enough that their feet reach it after that maneuver. Following that, they utilize the ceiling to propel themselves toward me yet again. With an even bigger knife in hand, mind you!
狙いは俺かよ
Because you're the weak link, obviously. I ain't dumb enough to let someone leap straight into me. Their skill might have taken me by surprise, but I can dodge this no problem. I slide my right foot back to do so.
もうどうしててめえはそんなにバカなんだ
Her insult isn't directed toward the kid but to me. My foot doesn't slide across the floor when I pull it back. Instead I trip over something.
なんだと
It's not like I've tripped over thin air either. My foot has caught on something hard. It's one of those screwdrivers the kid had thrown at me a moment ago. You're a fucking idiot, Federico.
今度は外さない
The kid uses the opening to thrust the knife into my side. This time it digs deep into me. They retract the knife immediately and put some distance between us, their eyes watching Odette all the while. Blood starts to gush out of me, dousing my jacket. Fortunately, my ribs took the brunt of the blow, so my insides aren't damaged. I probably have a few cracked ribs though. That probably would have killed me had the kid been a bit stronger. I'm already starting to lose consciousness when she says that. From what I managed to hear, the kid has no intention of chasing us down. So how are you going to treat that step wound, huh? And then I dream. I dream so far into reality that I almost think it's another world entirely. I dream about the one thing I've ever truly cared about. Just walk it off. Just a flesh wound. About the regret that only I could know about. There's an even more simple reason behind how I can tell it's just a dream. Because there's no hope of me ever achieving it. This is a reality that will never come to fruition. A desire that I've convinced myself to give up on. The fact that I'm dreaming of it now proves I've still got regrets about it though. Oh no. Will we get a sob story Federico backstory now? No? What the? Just as I start to wonder why my ass hurts, I notice that I'm sitting by a road. Odette's standing beside me, a plastic bag in hand. I assume she dragged me all this way from that house. Must have stopped by a convenience store on the way to buy provisions too. My sight is still killing me, but it's all bandaged up and treated. Put a bandage on, you'll be fine.
戦場では応急手当が重要だ。菌が入って可能しちまうと手遅れなことが多い。
Oh no, your nice green suit jacket is going to get turned red.
悪いな。
たく弱すぎるんだよてめえは。
I can't find any words to rebuke her with. I just click my tongue and shake my head. I looked down on the kid because of their age, but it wasn't just that. They completely outplayed me.
だがまあ、あのガキは記憶喪失とか言ってたが、ありゃ昔に訓練でも受けてたんじゃねえかな。それこそ。おい、どうした？
あんたは俺を見捨てればよかったんじゃないか。
何塩らしくなってんだ気持ち悪い。それにな、協力するって言ったんだ。てめえにはまだ利用価値があると思う。
I wonder who's going to survive.
私は約束は守るぜ。基本的にはな。
Like obviously Rinka will win the game. I hope, but like.
基本的にって何なんだよ。
まあ、これでも飲んだろ。
The longer we get to know other characters and their life stories, the worse it will feel to see them die. Even those two, and I know I said it last stream, like, haha, I won't be sad if any of the adults die, but obviously I will be. To some extent. Some more than the others, though. She hands me a miniature bottle of wine. Normal folks wouldn't give an injured person alcohol, but hey, she's anything but normal. As further proof, she's already downing a drink herself.
チリさんか。ま、俺の国の上物が道端で売られてても困るけどよ。
減らず口が言えるなら余裕そうだな。ま、てめえは今週くらいは安静にしておいた方がいい。
Just me, huh? No point in arguing with her when I know she won't listen. Instead, I pour the wine down my throat like it's water. It ain't top shelf stuff, but Sheila's wine is pretty decent for the price. The taste of red wine helps me to settle down. You won't find many people out on the street drinking wine straight from the bottle back in Italy, but I gotta admit, I ain't against it. After enjoying our wine and a sandwich, we trudged back to our hotel.
次は私があいつをぶっ倒す。あのガキは楽しめそうだったからな。
Please don't. I can tell she isn't gonna go out looking for revenge on my part. That'd be pretty unnerving by itself, but I know her and she's doing it for her own sake. It's been over a month since the eventual election started, so I've managed to pick up enough clues to figure out what she's thinking every now and then. It's pretty ridiculous, but she's just looking forward to pummeling that kid. Great! Okay, now we're back to Rinka, probably. After school, I make my way to the district where Shigetsugu lives. I know the way by heart at this point. I've gotten somewhat familiar with the area after all. I should be able to escape into a busy area if I somehow bump into that duo. Do you really not own a single fucking wig? Or could you not buy a wig? Rinka, your hair stands out. I give myself a little pep talk out loud. Today's main goal is to ask around and find out anything I can about the relationship between Shigetsugu and that girl. Things go south almost immediately though. Hi, yes, I am. Someone approaches me from behind. The very person I was about to gather info on meets my gaze when I spin around. He may be short, but he looks as tenacious up close as he did from afar in the dream world. He stares at me with a stone-cold poker face, a plastic bag in hand. I freeze the moment our eyes meet. Okay.
あなたは
お主、まさかわしのことを調べに来たのか?
Mayhaps. His posture makes him look exhausted. He's completely unfazed despite having run into another participant. Now that I think about it, he didn't react in the slightest when numeral 11 got her hands on his name card. He may sound somewhat surprised, but at the same time he seems a bit apathetic.
そう警戒しないでよかろう。わしはお主らと敵対するつもりはないんじゃ。
Oh?
わしの戦場は別にあるのじゃ。今日は勝利の凱旋じゃがの。
は？
戦場？
そう、戦いじゃ。
まさか別の参加者と？
そんなことはない。わしの戦場は駅前にあるんじゃ。
What is he talking about? I'm completely baffled by his statement. I guess it means he successfully reeled me in though. I start to panic with that thought in mind.
朝早くから並んで、いい場所を取るところから戦いが始まっとるんじゃ。それで大の争奪戦に勝ったら、そこから真剣勝負じゃ。
Do you like go fishing?
大当たりの演出が入った時は最高に盛り上がるわい。
No. He probably goes to spend all his remaining money at pachinko. That's probably also why there's debt collectors at his door. Jackpot fanfare in a good spot, not to mention this all takes place by the station. The station isn't huge, but it has all your typical storefronts around it. Coffee shops, diners, the shopping district, and...
パチンコですか？
I fucking knew it! Oh, excuse me, Yeah.
正解じゃ。
Wow. His love is hearty and sincere. The scowl on his face remains though. It leads me to believe that he's the kind of person whose facial expressions don't quite match up with how they actually feel.
では、ご褒美にチョコレートをあげよう。
He's a fucking gambler. He produces a bar of chocolate from his bag and hands it to me. I stare at it for a few seconds before turning him down.
私を油断させようとしてるんですか？
残念じゃの。今時の子はチョコ程度じゃ喜んでくれんか。あの子は目をキラキラさせてくれるのにの。
あなたの家に住んでる女の子のことですか？
あって、女の子は住んでいないがの。
とぼけないでください。
I try to sound as threatening as I can muster. Letting him lead the conversation any longer is too risky, especially when I can't gauge his intentions.
おお、怖い怖い。
I stare him down as he tries to tease me. It's possible that he's trying to rope me in and extract useful information out of me, so I try my best to say as little as possible.
さっきも言ったろ。端的に言って、わしはお主らと争う気はないんじゃ。追い先短いじじいだからの。こうやって少しだけ寿命が伸びただけでも幸せもんじゃ。
Oh.
おかげでしばらく行けんかったパチンコにも行けるしの。すごいぞ。選定が始まってからわしは収支がプラスなんじゃよ。
I refuse to say anything in response to his random
た
conversation.
だの、お主、帰ってくれぬか。
He finally confronts me, possibly after realizing I will stay quiet if he doesn't.
わしはいいんじゃが、生かしたい子もおってな。
So you both want to ensure the other's survival, which means both of you will end up dead. It has to be the girl. I already know for sure that they're living together, which means he's feigning ignorance.
あの子がおのずから戦う意志を持ってくれるまでは静かに暮らしていたいんじゃ。隠居したじじいの頼みじゃから聞いてはくれんかの。
それはその子を勝たせたいってことですよね。だったら聞けない。
ま、そうじゃの。しかし こういうのはどうじゃろう。
His tone becomes grave and his expression somehow gets even more tenacious as he speaks.
お主とは会わなかったことにしてやる。それならあの子もお主を脱落させることはないじゃろう。
してやるですか。あなたの方が年上ですけど、この状況で上から目線は間違いです。牛塚重次さん。
わしの名前を知った程度でいい気になっておるのか。
He doesn't falter when confronted with my threat. He opts to provoke me instead.
なんての、さっきも言ったろ。わしはお主らと敵対するつもりはないんじゃよ。
His tone returns to normal, although his expression remains unchanged. We've made absolutely no progress. I guess his age and experience means it won't be easy to reel
特に
him
お
in.
主は一部の参加者と違って何の変哲もない痛いけな不女子じゃ。若いうちに死んでしまったのは残念じゃが、少しでも長く生きるためには他の参加者と関わらないのが一番じゃぞ。
No, I will survive.
なんじゃ。
I'm not sure how, but I managed to stop myself from screaming in his face. I've just about had it with him talking to me like I'm some dumb kid.
私は少しでも長く生きるためにこうしているんじゃない。答えを見つけたいから。じっとなんてしてられない。
Is my life worth casting aside the lives of others for? What is my regret? What awaits myself and Miharu when all is said and done? Is fate really something we can hope to go against? I can't let myself die until I find the answers to all these questions. I have no intention of living a quiet life if I'm unable to do so.
答えか。お主がどんな疑問を持っているのかは知らんが、たやすいことではないぞ。
だから何？あなたに何がわかるって言うんですか。
懐かしいの。そのセリフ、わしの元を去ってしまった娘たちにもよく言われたものじゃ。
The lady from the other day mentioned that he's been living alone ever since his family abandoned him. Based on his attitude, I'm hardly surprised someone said that to him before. He's one of those condescending types who likes to act as though they know every little thing about you.
今日は帰ります。でもあなたのことは調べますから。忠告しておきますけど、牛塚さんが思っている以上にみんな生きるために必死なんだと思います。
まだまだ子供じゃが頑固でまっすぐじゃな。よいよい。
だからそういう態度が。
おや。
Just as I'm about to leave, I hear a set of footsteps stop in front of me. Oh, what's wrong with me today? I turn my eyes toward the person to whom they belong.
おじいちゃん、その人誰？まさか選定の参加者？いや、絶対そうだ。どうして今日はこんな？
Just a second. The voice belongs to the girl I tailed back to Shigetsugu's house the other day. She's probably returning from a shopping trip based on the plastic bag she's holding in one hand. Her eyes are big and round and the silver hair somewhat disheveled. She seems like your average innocent kid. Not an instant after I think that, she gives me an icy cold
こ
stare.
の人もおじいちゃんの敵なの。
Right then, I feel like something sharp steps into my brain. The sun pain is so bad that my hands clasp onto my head on instinct. I've never experienced a headache this painful before. Oh? This isn't good. I'm not sure about the cause, but the last thing I need in this situation is to leave myself vulnerable. Just as I think that... It's because both of you forgot that you literally died next to each other. I'm not the only one experiencing this pain, it seems. I just sigh as I take in the unfamiliar room, mainly because I know the situation I'm in all too well. They're having a psychic power battle, actually.
言っておくが、このお茶には何も入っとりゃせんからの。
いえ、結構です。
お主の身につけている身分証やらを調べるなら、さっきとっくにやっておるよ。安心せ。これはただの親切じゃ。
While taking a bag, I accept the cup and have a sip. There's not much taste to it, but it's to be expected when a drink is more yellow than green. As for why I'm in Shigetsugu's house, he brought me inside after that headache knocked me for a loop. Both myself and a girl were told to rest until the pain subsided, but she hasn't woken up yet. I notice her fidgeting in her sleep, which leads to my involuntarily gulping down the tea. Again, I have the strongest brain blast.
助けてもらったことには感謝してます。ありがとうございました。
好きにするがいい。言っておくが、わしの構え方は変わらんよ。
はい、わかっています。
He may not see me as his enemy, but there's no denying that we will ultimately have to compete with one another. Not to mention that the girl made no effort to hide her hostility toward me. Sure, I'm curious about the sudden headache that hit us when we met, but it's too dangerous to stay here. I want to be gone before she wakes up. These walls are thin enough that people outside would hear me if I screamed, but there's no guarantee they'd actually try to help.
ああ、おじいちゃん。
具合は大丈夫かの？
大丈夫。心配かけてごめんね。
わしに謝ってどうする？これ、お茶でも飲んで落ち着け。
ありがとう。
You are baby. I hadn't intended on staring, but I couldn't take my eyes off of them. It is a quick exchange, but the two of them really seem like an average grandfather and granddaughter. The warmth in his expression reminds me of how my own grandmother looks at me. I plan to leave as quick as possible, but after witnessing that scene, my feet feel stuck to the floor, which gives the girl an opportunity to turn her attention toward me. Attention. I keep my mouth shut. There's no reason to respond. I'm better off going straight home.
おや、まだいたんじゃな。おい、このお嬢さんは選定の参加者じゃが、わしらの敵というわけではないぞ。お前呼ばわりは良くないし、さっき表で睨んだじゃろ。それは失礼なことじゃよ。帰る
I
前に
like
謝
how
りなさい。
every character in this game has their eyes drawn in a slightly different way.
わかった。昼間にこの家に敵が来たんだ。二人もおじいちゃんの家を調べに。だから仲間かと思ってつい警戒しちゃったんだ。
I am not. I can assure you I will not be working together with those two anytime
ごめん
soon.
なさい、お姉さん。
This isn't half-hearted, she's even bowing her head. You see scenarios like this often. The granddaughter does something and then apologizes when her grandfather tells her to. I would honestly believe that these two are family had I not known their participants, even though they look so different. They're not just playing the parts, everything about the interaction feels authentic. That just makes things harder for me.
大丈夫。別に怒ってはないし、仕方がないことだよ。
I can't blame her though, considering my attitude toward him. Of course, it's not like I've decided to let my guard down around him now. My standing by the front door to ensure my escape route serves as proof. However, something she said piqued my interest. I have to confirm with her before
敵
leaving.
が来たって言ってたよね。それって背の高い男女の二人組だった。
どうしてそれを？
私もその人たちを警戒しているから。
Her eyes widen. Shigetsugu, on the other hand, listens without
あ
reacting.
なたは知ってるの？あの人たちのこと。
だって今朝来たのはその人たちだよ。
なんじゃと？
そっか。おじいちゃんにはまだ言ってなかったね。部屋が荒れてるのはそのせいなんだ。
I did notice some disorganization, but I assumed that's how they lived. I don't mean there's trash lying around, but there are a number of newspapers, magazines, and articles of clothing dotting the floor.
3番と11番の人。おじいちゃんもわかるでしょ？
顔は覚えておるが、詳しく聞かせておくれ。
Damn bitch! This is how you live. I completely lost my chance to leave
お
now.
主も聞いていけばよい。ただし、情報交換じゃよ。
He motions for me to sit closer, probably because he knows I've lost my chance to go
おじい
too.
ちゃんのことを探しに来たあの二人がこの家に入ってきたんだ。おじいちゃんが出かけた直後。
I was aware they'd been scouting out the house from when I last came here. They probably have been for several days. Knowing Shigetsugu leaves in the morning, they figured he'd stick to the routine today as well.
だから僕が追い返したよ。女の人の方は強かったけど、男の人はそうでもなかった。
追い返した？だってあの二人だよね。
She's about my height, but she's definitely way younger and extremely slender. Judging from how she said numeral 11 was tough, I doubt she gave them a simple verbal threat. These are the same two who took Sonia's parents hostage, as if they'd listened to a kid's threat.
逃げられちゃったけど、3番の男には深手を負わせたよ。あれなら数日間はこの家に来られないと思う。
また暴力を使ったのか？
し 方がなかったんだ。この家を守るためにはそうするしかなかった。それに先に手を出してきたのは向こうだよ。
ちょっと待って、君が戦ったの？どうやって？
わからない。体が勝手に動いたっていうか、戦い方を知ってたっていうか。
そんなことってありえるんですか？
And now I'm suspicious of them again. It's not impossible for her to make this up in an attempt to read information out of me.
この子は記憶喪失なんじゃよ。
おじいちゃん？
構わんじゃろ。それにこれを聞いたところでお主は不利にはならんじゃろうって。
僕はいいけど、おじいちゃんが。まあ大丈夫。
Didn't you also tell Odette and
前
Federico?
提が始まった時、この子は行く当てもなくさまよっていたんじゃ。わしと出会って、それでうちで暮らすようになったんじゃよ。
僕は自分の名前も今まで何をやってきたかも、どうして選定の参加者になった
Well, we
のか
know
も
you
覚え
died
てないよ。
due to a fire. We have that card.
だから僕は自身のカードの内容も覚えていない。死因や未練を探そうとしても無駄だよ。
Wait. Hold on. Odette says she has the name card of this child. But the child doesn't remember their name, nor their cause of death, nor their regret, right? They're all blank cards. But we have a card that says, oh, you died to a fire. Our card isn't blank. That doesn't make... Huh?
僕もどうしてこの国にいるのかも忘れてしまったんだ。いや、この国が自分の国じゃないというのも結局おじいちゃんに会ってから分かったんだけどね。
Maybe we're special because we both died to the same fire? Amnesia, something we have in common. The only difference is that she's lost all of her memories. I've forgotten bits and pieces prior to and after Divine Selection began, but not enough to affect my life. She, meanwhile, doesn't even know where she is. I can't even begin to imagine.
でもね、すぐおじいちゃんと会えたから僕は苦労はしてないよ。
She follows up with a pleasant smile. I find it hard to believe that someone with a smile like this could fend those two off. I've heard about how one retains the personal habits and skills when suffering from amnesia. The loss of personal memory doesn't influence muscle memory or something. But that means she had the ability to go toe-to-toe with those two even before the amnesia.
さて、まだ聞きたいこともあるじゃろうが、お主の番じゃよ。
He turns his attention to me after cutting the conversation short. I guess he did mention some sort of reciprocity of information before. I decide to tell them that I know about those two. The connection!
当然、手段を選ばない者もいるじゃろうな。
Well, the cards at the start, like everyone got a few cards at random at the start. So they don't necessarily need to have my cards. I tell them about what they did to Sonia and her parents, holding a child's parents hostage in order to make them reveal the information. Sheer brute force. However, I make sure not to mention that I have Federico's name card. They never mention what cards they have, so fair is fair.
となると、この子が反撃したのも仕方ないことじゃな。
もう分かった？僕だってちゃんと考えがあったんだからね。
分かっておる分かっておる。ほれ、撫でてあげよう。じゃが、お前が怪我をするかもしれなかったんじゃ。気をつけるんじゃぞ。
分かってるよ。でも
I only did a little stabbing. I used my friendship knife. Her attitude turns out to be far more childlike than her appearance. From my perspective, she's like a kid who gets carried away after being given a little praise. Still, what she said holds weight if she really was able to fight those two off. Her unpredictability is definitely a concern. Sonia at least accepted the fact that she was a participant. These two on the other hand care only about living out their lives like normal people.
これで分かったであろう。わしらは争う気はない。じゃからもう関わらんことじゃ。
Listen, the problem here is this. If everyone else takes each other out because, oh, we too don't care about the game and you survive until the end, then you will win. So you're saying, oh, we don't care about the game is a fucking lie. His choice of words makes me think he somehow read my mind. I'm not sure if that's intentional, but I'm stunned either way. Then I realize it. They're not normal at all. Even real families would struggle to act as legit as these two do. Plus, they're both participants. This is insane.
でもきっとあの人たちは諦めません。怪我が治ったら治らなくたって必ずまた来ると思います。あなたや私を脱落させないとあの人たちは生きられないから。
わしらを心配しているのかな。
Mayhaps.
主はわしらの情報を集めに来たのじゃろ。
Because Rinka has a really big heart.
わかりません。でもただ思っただけで。
That's right. I'm far from normal myself.
答えを知りたいと豪語していた割には随分と曖昧な答えじゃの。
嫌な人なんですね、牛塚さんって。
Not that he's wrong. That's why he's been so calm this entire time. He's never seen me as a threat.
おじいちゃんをバカにするの？
いや、そうじゃなくて。
気にするでない。ところで、さっきは何を買っておったのじゃ？
これ？さっきあいつらが来た時に洗うやつが壊れちゃって。よくわからないんだけど。
I don't know
お
what
店の
it
人
is.
が
I just
勧めて
bought
くれ
it.
たんだ。
Great.
洗うやつ。ああ、洗濯機のホース。
You slept terribly and are super tired. Okay. Get a good rest. Sleep tight.
お家の人に聞けばわかるって言ってたけど、おじいちゃんわからない？
Next to her is a washing machine hose. I recognize the logo on the bag. She must have bought it at one of the nearby supermarkets.
わからんの。どうにも機械は苦手での。
洗うやつが壊れたらどうするつもりだったの？
ここならコインランドリーは遠くないからの。
コインランドリ
お金を払って洗濯機を使える場所じゃよ。
もうおじいちゃんたらパチンコをやるために節約するって言ってたでしょ。
I think you have that mixed up. I really want to say something, but I don't. She might actually believe what he says about it being a battlefield. Shigetsugu meanwhile takes the host before returning his gaze toward me.
お主ならできるじゃろ。
I don't fucking know how a washing machine works.
そうなるよね。
In the back of my mind, I knew I'd end up being asked based on the
わ
exchange.
かりました。ホースを取り替えるくらいなら私でもできます。ただ、
My
それだけ
parents
やったら
replaced
帰り
our
ますから
last
ね。
washing machine, I don't know, like some time ago. But I did not notice until one day when I wanted to do some laundry, right? And I go to the room with the washing machine, and it's like, why is there a new washing machine there? And then when I told my parents, like, yeah, I went to do the laundry earlier, but they didn't know how it works. And then my mom goes, we have had that thing for several months. What do you mean? Like, what? That's not true. You're lying to me right now. No way. But apparently, yes, they bought a new washing machine some time ago and I'd never noticed. Hello, good evening.
ありがとうお姉ちゃん。
And thank you for the follow. Hope you enjoy your stay.
この洗濯機全然掃除してない。
Welcome to Visual Novel
ちょっ
Reading
と
Sunday.
ビニール手袋取ってきて。はあ、なんでこんなに本格的にやってるんだろう。排水口も。はあ、ちょっと水出してもらえる？
うん、わかったよ。
あ、違う、そっちじゃなくてお風呂場とかから持ってきて。はあ、
Unless I face my fate of getting a torrent of washing machine water to the face. Oh no! Dinka! Not only do I get drenched, but the water inside the machine is absolutely filthy. I wish I could exchange this memory for one that I'm missing. At least I changed into my school jersey beforehand. My uniform is safe, but I can't say that's enough to make up for the experience. Honestly, this is probably the worst thing I've gone through since Divine Selection started. I've only got myself to blame though. It never would have happened if I wasn't such a pushover. Not true, I'm not too keen on using the bath at Shigetsugu's place, so I head to a nearby public bathhouse.
わーい、おっきなお風呂に入れる。
Oh no, please don't give me funny gender scene now.
まさかナオミが正解だったとはね。
何のこと？
いや、なんでもない。
This whole time she was actually a he. I should have known based on his stride and his outfit, but his outward appearance really and truly made him look like a girl. I guess I've got Miharu to blame for warping my perspective. She carries herself more like a boy, so part of me sees it as normal, despite understanding that she's a rare exception to the norm. I can only sigh at my own silliness.
若いのにため息をつくでないぞ。
あんたたちのせいだから。
怖い怖い。
Didn't ever design a tracksuit. No, it's a school tracksuit. And that's why there's an A on it. No! It's because the school starts with an A. Something. Amecha. They both tagged along with me to the bathhouse. I guess I should be thankful that he's a boy. Now we won't end up alone in here. Making conversation with him would be a challenge by itself, but I can't hide my fear. Plus something's odd about how we both suddenly got headaches when we came face to face. It has to be related to our memories somehow.
ほれ、お前も行くぞ。
He scurries along behind Shigetsugu. Now that I think about it, Shigetsugu hasn't referred to him by name. Maybe to ensure that I don't get my hands on his name card, but it's possible that he simply doesn't know it. I'm not quite sure how I reached that conclusion, but it might explain why I find their relationship so abnormal.
名前も知らないのに家族か。
So... Eep, I get some weird looks if I mutter stuff like that to myself here. Less thinking, more washing. Am I allowed to show this on Twitch? A sigh pours out of me as I soak in the warm water. This time it's a relaxed one though. I usually just show at home, so it's been a while since I've gotten to enjoy a bath like this. It's been even longer since I was last at a bathhouse. I was still in elementary school, so I came with my gran. The Twitch police won't get you. I whisper quietly so that the sound of the faucet will drown it out. I still message and talk to her over the phone, but I haven't seen her at all since March. She's my one and only family. I can't blame her since she has other relatives, but it's hard not to feel lonely sometimes. Then again, I should be thankful that she's away right now. Otherwise, she'd run the risk of being taken hostage by people like numeral 11. The cat is going to start talking sooner or later, and then you will remember this, Rinka. The next time I'll be able to see her is over summer vacation. I'll be sure to pay her a visit. Summer vacation. Assuming I don't get eliminated, Divine Selection is scheduled to end around then, so I won't ever get to see her again if I'm eliminated. However, being the sole survivor means I won't be able to see Miharu ever again. Sonia's words come to mind. It's possible to alter fate, so let's us both make it through together. There's still too many unknowns within Divine Selection, but I feel like I know which answer I should be pursuing. Thinking about Sonia causes my eyes to tear up, but I suck it up and keep them from falling. I need to focus on what I can do right now. Get out of this bath! So I will be safe from the Twitch police. That's the conclusion I've come to. My initial plan was to get my hands on Shigetsugu's and that boy's information, but I can leave that alone for now. I'm pretty sure they don't think poorly of me. In that case, it's possible for me to form an alliance with them. Doing so would put me on level ground against the likes of Alan and numeral 11. However, I'm not convinced that I have it in me to eliminate these two when the time comes. I feel like I'd struggle with it even now. I lack Miharu's determination. Even if Sonia had asked me to eliminate her, I highly doubt they would have been able to. That's why she didn't ask you, but Miharu. Like the fireworks display we all promised to go see, for example, which happens to take place after Divine Selection ends. It's impossible to influence my thoughts away from a Divine Selection, so I resort to counting the droplets of water as they fall from my hair. Oh, fine. I'm safe from Divine Twitch police.
どうして待ってるんですか？
Both Shigetsugu and the boy are perched on the sofa by the entrance. The boy has fallen asleep with his back against it though.
この子が待っているうちに眠ってしまったがの。この体ででっかい偉人さんたちと戦ったんじゃ。疲労もたまるじゃろ。
Excuse me, my throat hurts.
別に待たなくてよかったのに。
そう言うでない。この子は年の近いお主と話せて嬉しかったんじゃよ。
Around my age?
おそらくかつていた場所では友達がいなかったんじゃろ。今
年近いかな。
He's not much smaller than me, but his attitude and facial expressions make him seem years younger. I give the boy another look up and down.
信じられないです。こんな小さいのに、あの人たちに負
He's
けない。
probably like some kind of trained assassin or something.
信じられないが、前にも似たようなことがあっての。
I wait for him to follow up, but he offers a smile
その
instead.
前に喉が渇いたの。コーヒー牛乳を買ってきてくれんか。
コーヒー牛乳
わしが動
I
い
love
て
the
この子を起
Japanese
こ
word
しちゃ
for
悪い
milk.
し
It's so
の。
funny.
乳乳
いいですけど。
コーヒー牛乳
I return after grabbing something for the both of
あっ
us.
と入浴料しか持ってきとらんかった。すまんが後で返すから許してくれんか。
わざとですよね。
そんなことはないわい。
Unimpressed as I am over an old man mooching off someone my age, I'm better forcing him to keep talking.
この子と会って間もない頃の話じゃ。深夜この子が目を覚ましてしまっての。散歩に連れ出してわしがこの子と歩いている時じゃった。急に催してしまったんじゃが、たまたま近くに公園があっての。この子は好奇心旺盛での。ネズミか何かを追って公園から離れていたらしいんじゃ。わし一人でキョロキョロしていると、柄の悪い若者が3人近
I don't
づ
like
い
where
て
this
き
is
ての。
going.
親父狩りというやつじゃの。こんなじじいが金を持っているように見えんじゃろうが、自分より弱そうな相手なら誰でもよかったんじゃろ。わしは一発殴られたんじゃ。それで金を出せと言われた。連中の中にはバットを持ってるやつもおったの。
ひどい。
じゃがそこにこの子が帰ってきた。この子は状況を見るなり一言こう聞いたんじゃ。その人たちはおじいちゃんの敵とな。わしはその時肯定の返事をしてしまったことをほんの少しだけ後悔しておる。この子は直後若者3人を病院送りにしたんじゃ。
I am mesmerized as he describes the event in detail. He dodged a bad swing and ripped it from the assailant's hands in one motion, following up with a solid blow to the face. Then he struck the legs of the second one with that bat before smashing them in the face as well. The one who punched Shigetsugu tried to run, but the boy spun around to build momentum before flinging the bat straight at his head. Aha! He finished by knocking the final attack off his feet, jumping on top of him and strangling him into
わ
unconsciousness.
しが止める暇もなかった。
Yikes. There's no doubt Shigetsugu would have experienced far worse had the boy not shown up. They would have beaten him regardless of whether or not he gave them money.
驚くわしに近づいて、この子は平然と帰ろうと言ったんじゃ。じゃが、わしは怖いとは思わんかった。頼もしいと思ったよ。この子は暴力で屈することがないと安心した。
そんな戦い方を体が勝手に動いたとでも。
やろうな。この子は自分の体が小さいことを、力が弱いことを分かっておるんじゃろうな。きっと忘れている記憶は壮絶な人生のはずじゃ。訓練と実践の経験がなければ子供があんな動きをできまいて。
Child soldiers in countries rife with combat come to mind. I'm only aware of what I've seen in the news, but there have been plenty of pictures featuring kids holding weapons and engaging in warfare. Assuming Shigetsugu's right, then he might be from such a place. It would explain his cause of death too. Being exposed to fire seems like it'd be common. No! You literally died in the same fire!
じゃがな、この子はいい。純粋で優しい。
I know Rinka wouldn't know because she's missing her memories, but like it makes me mad.
11の人たちとは違うってことですか？
その人らをわしは知らん。誰かと比べてでなくての、この子のことを言っとるんじゃよ。
I can't say I know much about him, and yet for some reason I can see where Shigetsugu's coming from.
さて、あまり長居するのもいかんし、そろそろ行こうか。起こすのもかわいそうじゃし、この子をおんぶしてやってくれんかの。
Sure. He's doing this on purpose, I know he is. But you still do it, Rinka! And just like that, I end up carrying the boy home. We're both a similar size, so I need to stop and catch my breath now and again. One thing I've noticed is that he's more built than you'd expect.
すまんの。わしはどうも腰痛があっての。
Isn't your poor back fixed due to divine selection?
もう喋らないでください。
怖い怖い。
Shigetsugu isn't the most pleasant person to deal with, I've gathered. That aside, this kid must be as young as I think based on how deeply asleep he is.
母さん、
Oh.
なぜ死んでしまったの？
I hear him mumbling in his sleep. His speech differs a fair bit from how he speaks with Shigetsugu too. I stopped dead in my tracks. This might be what I've been looking
どうしたんじゃ？
私だって疲れます。
I move his attention away from me with that answer. It doesn't seem like he's noticed what just happened. I repeat the boy's words in my head as we're walking along. It has to be his regret. I'm going to assume that his amnesia doesn't restrict the content of his dreams. In the same vein, it's no stretch to say that he lost his mother at a young age due to where he was raised. Which means his regret shouldn't be too hard to guess. I do my best not to think about it any further though. I'd best save it for when I get home. Shigetsugu might have realized that I've obtained numeral 4's regret card if my book starts to glow here. Ideally, I want to avoid making them wary of me. I can feel the sweat running down my brow. Not from my nerves, it's because I'm exerting myself right after a hot bath. I'll have to take a shower once I'm home and done with this.
2階が寝室じゃ。すまんが、この子を布団に横にならせてもらえるかの。わしはお茶を入れとるよ。
わかりました。
I start again from being forced to carry a boy upstairs despite carrying him the whole way home. Today's been nothing but sighs.
ここか。
The bedroom door is half open already, so it's easy to find my destination. I approach the futon and lean down to let him off. He grabs onto my arm.
母さん。
Not your mom. He must have been confusing me with the mom appearing in his dream. His tiredness gets the best of him though, and he lets my arm go right after. The strength of his grip was shocking.
男子なんだよね。
No, he's literally trained to kill people. Of course, the strength of his arm would be Rinka. Even though he still looks like a girl to me. Honestly, I wouldn't blame anyone for thinking it, just look at that face. On the flip side, I'd probably be feeling pretty nervous right now if he looked both his age and his strength. Fuck! Shut. He must be around 2 or so years younger than me, so even if that were the case, I'd probably be fine.
あれは。
Please, game, you're doing very well so far. Don't make a funny, oh no, if he was a boy and I were alone in his room with him, ooh. Don't do it. I notice a half-open drawer out of the corner of my eye. After ensuring that Shigetsugu isn't coming upstairs, I make my way over to it. Sure, it's a half-open drawer, but it's stuck in here, I can't see inside, so I open it nice and slow. I was worried that the noise accompanying it would wake the boy up, but it didn't. I can still barely see inside even after opening it up, so I light it up with my phone.
写真だ。
The shelf was full of old photos, easily over 100. Upon closer inspection, some are relatively new. The contents are mostly the same, family pictures. Featuring them an old couple, their grandson and his parents. The grandfather has to be Shigetsugu.
思った通り、抜け目ないの。
Bruh. My shoulder stiffened in response to the quiet voice from behind me.
お茶が入ったんじゃが、遅いんで呼びに来たんじゃ。ま、下へ来なさい。
All I can do is nod without turning around. Much like this afternoon, he's made tea for me, but unlike then, I take my time drinking it. Too bad that doesn't help make it taste any better.
すみません、勝手に写真を見てしまって。
構わんよ。引き出しを開けっぱなしにしておいたのはわしじゃしの。それにわしを脱落させたかったらそうすればいいんじゃ。
Oh?
この老いぼれが長生きできればそれに越したことはないかもしれんが、別段これからの人生に執着もしとらんからの。
With just that, I understand the meaning behind those photos.
あれはあなたの未練なんですね。
The family that he held so dear. There were a few pictures of them abroad as well. He's living alone now, but it's likely that the rest of his family stayed here at some point.
わしも年じゃ。未来に希望なんぞ持たんよ。じゃからか、あの写真を見ると時々思うてしまうんじゃ。あの頃に戻りたいの。
Oh.
とな。
I regret rooted neither in the present nor the future, but the past. Parker said that once regret represents the future, but that's not always the case. Regret is born from something you can bring yourself to give up on. In that sense, it's logical that wanting to go back to better times can become one's regret.
無理ですよ。
わかっておるよ。
うん。
よいしょ。
それにの、今はあの子がいるから寂しくないんじゃ。あの頃を思い出せるしの。
I don't want to see those two be the next to die. Or like, I guess maybe the grandfather now.
でも必ず終わりは来ます。
Like if Rinka can find out his regrets, but she doesn't know his cause of death yet, then the other two can very easily find out his regret.
お主とでは価値観が違
They
う
don't need
か
to
も
see
し
the
れんが
photos. They
の。
just need to talk
終
to
わりなぞ
the
怖くはないぞ。
housewives in the area, the gossipy housewives, and they would like Rinka knows that the family left him at some point, so Odette could very easily just come up with that being his regret. Boom, there she has all three of his cards. Bam. His tone makes it clear he has no ulterior
もっ
motive.
ともあの子のことは気がかりじゃが、選定が終わった後も生き残って幸せになれるか、わしにはようわからんよ。
私に言われてももっとわかりません。
あの子の未練のことならお主も想像がついておるだろう。
This question takes me by surprise.
あの子の寝言はわしも聞いたことがあるからの。あれはきっとあの子の眠っている記憶、まあ深層心理みたいなものから出たものだと思っておる。帰路で足を止めたとき、お主は何かに驚いていたからの。
This old man is not to be trifled with. I figured he hadn't noticed at the time, but he simply chose to keep quiet. This old man really is a mystery.
あの子の未練はきっと叶わんことじゃ。わしと同じ過去に向けられた未練じゃ。
それで選定が終わった後も幸せかどうかを気にしていたんですね。まさか私にあの子をおんぶさせたのって。
さすがにそれは想定外じゃ。わしもそこまでひどいことはせんよ。
He laughs it off, but that doesn't quell my suspicion.
何が目的なんですか？
Nothing's going to come from letting him control the conversation. I'm not sure if he's doing it on purpose or if he's just the kind of person he is, but I'm
あの
over
子
it.
にご飯を作ってあげてくれんかな。
Bruh!
わけわからないんですけど。
ならばこうしよう。一度でいい。このお願いを聞いてくれたら、わしの死因をお主に教える。
Bruh?
いや、そうじゃなくって。
せめて少しでも この子の未練を叶えてあげたいんじゃ。
He pauses briefly before explaining.
わしは料理がからっきしでの、あの子が来てから食べたものといえばコンビニやスーパーで買ったものばかりじゃ。
Very convenient that we don't have anyone we technically need to go back home to, right?
牛塚さんが作ってあげればいいんじゃないですか？
We are spending almost the entire day here.
わしの息子の嫁にも似たようなことを言われたことを思い出したわい。
やっぱり一緒に住んでいたことがあるんですね。
息子が結婚してから数年間だけじゃがの、わしの妻は早くに死んだから、わしと息子夫婦3人で暮らしていたんじゃ。孫が生まれる前に息子たちは家を出て、ほとんどそれっきりじゃがの。
There's a tinge of sadness in his voice as he recalls the past. His regret may have come about during the time when they were living here. I've never seen him look so emotional. That's all I needed to confirm that his regret is rooted in those days.
おっと、話がそれてしまったの。ともかくじゃ。これに関しては、わしが料理を作っても無理なんじゃよ。
いや、もしかして
I finally catch on to why he's so particular
あ
about
の子の
this.
未練はもしかして母親の手料理？
Light spills forth from my back the moment I ask. It has to be in response to my having figured out numeral 4's regret, a regret he'll never be able to fulfill. Shigetsugu casts his eyes over to my back for a moment, likely having understood what just happened before continuing.
あの子が母親に料理を作ってもらったことがあるのかない
If it's his
のか
regret,
わしにはわからん。
he probably has not.
じゃがある時、定食屋でテレビを見ていたことがあったんじゃ。他愛のないドラマじゃったかの。ドラマの登場人物に母親がいての、ちょうどあの子と同じくらいの息子もおった。その母親の作った料理を嬉しそうな顔で食べておったんじゃ。よくある日常の場面じゃよ。それを見ていての、あの子は泣いていたんじゃ。
Oh, god
自
damn
分でも
it!
理由はよくわからないと言っていたんじゃが、記憶の奥で思うところがあったんじゃろうな。テレビは時々見ておったが、あの子があんな反応を見せたの
I
は
don't
そ
want
の
them
時だ
to
けじゃっ
die.
た。それに気づいた時、わしの本が光って、
Like every time
あの子のカ
Rinka
ードが
meets
できたんじゃ。
characters, we don't want them to die. As we get to know more about them.
私に母親の代わりをさせるってことですよね。
They're all going to live forever.
無茶ですよ。
そんなことは分かっておる。じゃからお主も得をするよう、わしの死因を教えると言っておる。
His tone turns far more coercive, likely in an attempt to pressure me into agreeing. The sudden change is surprising, but I hold my ground and stare him down. It isn't an attempt to hide my surprise or fear. I'm just really angry with him.
きっとあなたの未練はあなたのせいで失ったんですね。
分かっておる。
His painful acknowledgement is followed by him lowering his head. He lowers it so far that his head almost touches the floor.
取引のようなやり方はお主に通じんことはよく分かった。ただのじじいのお願いじゃ。気休めかもしれん。わしの自己満足かもしれん。あの子に手料理を作ってやってくれんか。
I need time to think. What's the correct way to respond to this? It's entirely possible that numeral 4 won't be able to fulfill his regret even if he lives through this. Not to mention that there's no way my cooking will help him to do so. What happens after I do all this? Assuming I get Shigetsugu's cause of death and I use it to eliminate him, what would happen after that? Is he even thinking that far
わ
ahead?
しはできることはやっておきたいんじゃ。
I'm eating chocolate to deal with the pain this game is giving me. The statement alone tells me that he isn't. At the same time, it tells me just how much he cares. It is the same mindset I had towards Sonia after all.
わかりました。
本当か。
ただし それっきりです。今日は遅いので明日の夜ご飯を作りますから、それっきり関わらない。牛塚さんからもあの子にそう伝えてください。そして今後私があなたやあの子を脱落させても恨まないでください。
約束しよう。わしはもともとお主ら他の参加者を狙うつもりはなかったんじゃ。じゃがあの子が自分の意志で他の参加者を脱落させようと動き出した時、わしは止めることはできん。
A brief tense silence follows his claim. He isn't bluffing, that much I can tell.
思いません。それは今の状況でも同じですから。
I answer without much hesitation. My best option is to lower the chance that I become their target. Granted, I've already settled to agreeing to his proposition before taking that into consideration. His desire hits too close to home for me to refuse.
私もこうできれば、わしは孤独にはならんかったかもしれんの。
He mutters under his breath. He likely intended for me not to hear
で
him.
は、今度こそもう帰ります。明日の夕方6時過ぎにまた来ます。買い物もしてきちゃいます。
Hopefully nothing will happen between now and 6 p.m. tomorrow.
わかった。わしはそろそろあの子を起こすとするかの。
I watch as he pulls himself up onto his
どう
feet.
かしたかの。
お金。さっきのコーヒー牛乳の分と明日の買い物の分前払いしてください。
ケチじゃの。
当然です。
I agreed to cook for him, but I certainly won't be preparing a 5-star meal. I'm sure that Shigetsugu will wriggle out of paying me back unless I demand it right now, so there you have it. He eventually gives in and hands me 3 1,000 yen notes. After that, I can finally leave. I crash down into my bed as soon as I arrive.
も
Been a while since I last screamed into my
う
pillow.
三春に話したらバカかい。
Once again, you're getting involved with other participants. Without thinking, I talked to myself out loud. Not only did I succeed in gathering info about Shigetsugu, but I also met the boy staying with him, and I somehow agreed to cook the boy dinner. I didn't let myself be influenced this time though. I agreed to do it of my own volition. Dangerous as it may be to get involved with other participants, there's something far more important to figure out. Do I have what it takes to eliminate them after getting disattached? I need to find my answer to that before I obtain all their cards.
シャワー浴びよう。
Lucky for me, I've already gotten used to putting off the questions I can't answer yet. I go to bed each night confident that I will wake up the next day. It's the one constant in my life, even with the advent of the Vine's election. Well, on days when an election isn't being held anyway. I drag myself from bed and get ready for school like always. The plans for the evening are already set, so I won't be opening the store today. I've cut it close so often lately that I'm starting to run out of excuses for my gran. Granted, she's never too persistent about me opening it up because we either make hardly anything out of it or we actually lose money. That plus, she seems to realize that I'm all caught up in something else at the moment. Not to imply that she knows about Divine Selection, of course. She most likely thinks I'm busy with exams or personal issues. My grades are hardly stellar, so it's not surprising that she's concerned. I notice Naomi as I walk through the gate. She's with a friend too. We leave her be. For some reason, we leave her be. Otherwise, we will get a bad end. I'm best off leaving her be. If she's got people to spend time with other than me, it's for the better. The last thing I want is for her to get caught up in Divine Selection because of her involvement with me. Meanwhile, Naomi trips over nothing as usual. Her friend catches her, fortunately, and she laughs it off. Naomi hasn't noticed me, so they make their way into the building together. I decide to slow my pace to ensure that I don't bump into her at the entrance. Once I get back home, I have a look at what seasonings I should take with me when I go to cook dinner. I doubt I'll be able to get everything I need with the money Shigetsugu's given me, and buying new stuff would be a waste because I'm only going there once.
カレーでいいかな。カレーならおばあちゃんのレシピがあったはず。
Curry used to be a Lionhouse staple before I took over. I've helped to make it a number of times, but I never made it from scratch. It should be fine so long as I follow the recipe though. Curry's pretty timeless too, so let's go with that. I packed some seasoning, spices, a pot, and a spare container before making my way to Shigetsugu's house. Beef, potatoes, onions, carrots, apples, and yogurt are the main ingredients in... Why? Yogurt? Apples? I head to his house after getting them. While I'm on my way, I make sure to keep an eye out for Federico and numeral 11. I don't notice anyone suspicious, but I think that's due to it being so busy at this time of night. I'm somewhat worried about more odd rumors spreading, considering the neighbors' attitude toward this place, but I should be fine if it's just this once.
Oh, 待っとったよ。
あ、お姉ちゃん聞いたよ。ご飯作ってくれるんだよね。
Yep.
僕何でも手伝うから。料理って一回してみたかったんだ。お姉ちゃん。
That's one way to shatter the illusion of me being his mother. I carry the bags into the kitchen and then hand Shigetsugu the receipt and his change.
じゃあ、じゃがいもと人参の皮を剥いてもらおうかな。
うん。
その前に、まず手洗いね。
I put my apron on before washing my own hands. He follows suit, so I hand the potatoes and carrots over to him. Meanwhile, Shigetsugu watches TV in the living room. First up is beef preparation. I dice the meat into cubes and then sprinkle those with salt and pepper. Beef can be a bit chewy, so I cut some extra slits in them to help with that. After that, I grate an apple into a bag alongside yogurt, honey, and a spice mixture from my grand's recipe before combining everything. How is that a potato? That is clearly an onion. He looks up at me with a puzzled expression, potato in hand.
どうすればいいの？
ああ、そっか。そこからか。ピーラーは。
I take the potato and show him how to peel it using a knife.
すごい。
何にもすごくないよ。じゃあやってみて。ああ、包丁は危ないから気をつけてね。
The knife was surprisingly sharp. Not sure if that goes to show how little I cook or not.
僕が研いだ包丁でちゃんと料理できるなんて。
I don't have it in me to ask why he need to sharpen a knife like that for anything other than cooking. Either way, he's able to peel the potato far better than me. Same with the carrots. I decide to leave all the vegetables to him. Happy cooking slice of life, fun times. This is the entire rest of the video game. Right, nothing bad happens here. Oh no.
玉ねぎを切るとそうなっちゃうよね。
ピピ
目をこすったらもっとダメだよ。
お姉ちゃん、やっと笑ったね。
What would you do if I held you like an ice cream cone?
ずっと怖い顔だったけど、今はなんかちょっと
How
楽
do you
し
hold
そう。
someone like an ice cream
敵じゃ
cone?
なくて本当に良かった。
Aww. I suppose I did loosen up the moment I started cooking. I mean, I've been checking every now and then to make sure Shigetsugu isn't rummaging through my stuff, but it's true that I haven't been on edge as I should be.
僕ね、楽しみなんだ。カレーは温めるやつで食べたことあるけど、どうやって作るか知らないもん。ただ野菜切っただけなのにどうなるのかなって。
そっか。じゃあ頑張ろうね。
I let another smile slip. I can't help it though. Seeing his eyes sparkle with curiosity is too precious. Another part of me wishes that we met under different circumstances.
わーい、できた。
2 hours later, it is finally ready. The smell wafting out from the pot reminds me exactly of the curry my gran would cook. I tasted it to make sure it turned out fine, but I'm still nervous because other people are going to eat it too.
おお、ごちそうじゃな。
お待たせしました。これでいいんですよね。
あの子もとっても喜んでおるしの。お主は食べていかんのか？
まさかここまで来たんですから私もいただきます。
早く食べようよ。
おお、すまんすまん。
I don't trust this atmosphere.
いただきます。
I get started on mine after they dig in. It's not quite on my grand's level, but this is still plenty delicious. It hasn't been too long since the last time I had an experience like this. Miharu, Sonia and I ate together often before Sonia was eliminated. Funny how divine selection of all things is what's blessed me with these experiences. Blessed, huh? I guess I need to accept that I've been enjoying myself.
ちょっと味が濃くないかの。
Is it?
文句言わないでください。
とっても美味しい。お姉ちゃんの作ってくれたカレーとっても美味しいよ。
Oh, jeez, what a good kid.
おじいちゃん見た？これ僕が切ったんだよ。
この人参か芋か。とってもうまいの。
During last stream, I mentioned this was one of my favorite weeks, mainly because I'm very weak to grandpa and grandchild family. Aww. I can see why.
わーい。
I love it as well.
親バカならぬジジバカ？
Whatever, I'm glad he likes it at least. I try not to insert myself into the conversation too much, opting to eat in silence instead.
昔を思い出すの。息子が初めて料理したのもカレーじゃったかの。野菜を切って。どうして今になって思い出すんじゃろうな。
His eyes fixate on the curry as he recalls days long past. Small droplets of water catch on his eyelashes as they form. I'm not sure how or when it happened, but curries become the get-go household meal in Japan. Just making it tonight brought back memories of time I spent with my gran, so it makes sense for him to be reminded of similar time he spent with his own family. A clang resounds throughout the room while I'm caught up in those thoughts. I turn my attention to where it's from. It's the boy who has just left his spoon down onto his plate.
昔ってそんなに大事なものなのかな。
Neither of us answer his question. His gaze is focused on Shigetsugu. While Shigetsugu was recalling his past, the boy must have understood that he had no place in those memories despite his fondness for him. Even worse, he has no memories of his own to recall in the first
僕は
place.
いろいろなことを忘れてる。でもおじいちゃんを見てて思ったことがあるよ。僕の記憶の中にこんな幸せでゆっくりした風景はなかった。
お主。
あ、
Oh no. All of a sudden, he clutches his head and groans in pain.
ちょっと
Uh-oh. It's just like the first time we came face to face outside the dream world. I was struck with the headache as well that time, but now it's just him. Shigetsugu gets him to lay down, an expression of fear on his face.
大丈夫か。落ち着くんじゃ。
I'm not sure if he heard Shigetsugu or not, but he does eventually close his eyes and pass out. I help take him back up to his room. By the way, you very small new, do you take commissions for drawings? I don't, because I am very bad at finishing stuff, and I'd feel bad if people give me money for me to draw them something. So very sorry. I do not take commissions. I could try at some point, but like it's this one fear I have, that I cannot finish the thing someone entrusted me their money with to make. So once that's done, I finish my curry and wash the dishes. There's plenty left to spare, so I pack it into the spare container I brought and put it in the fridge. All I need to do is heat it up in a pot.
時々あるんじゃよ。
あの子があんな風になってしまうことがですか？
He nods silently before continuing.
あの子が何かのきっかけに記憶を取り戻そうとするとき、それが意識的か無意識なのかはわからんが、ともかく頭痛に襲われているようなんじゃ。その後は決まって寝てしまう。
But he doesn't actually remember anything.
数時間は目を覚まさんが、起きたら何事もなかったようにピンピンしとる。
That's not good. It's somewhat odd to be told not to worry about someone who's supposed to be your enemy, but even more odd is the fact that I really am worried.
すまんの。予想できたはずだったんじゃが、あの子が嬉しそうで忘れておった。
いえ。
じゃが、あの子が料理も食事も喜んでおったのは本当なんじゃ。
分かってます。おじいちゃん思いの優しい子ですよね。選定がなければ弟みたいに感じていたかもしれません。
選定がなければわしらは出会いもせんかったがの。そうじゃの。わしも改めて礼を言わせてもらおう。ありがとう。幸せそうなあの子を見ることができて わしもまた幸せじゃった。
はい。
I can feel my eyes drying throughout this exchange. I really shouldn't be thanked by my supposed enemy. The reality of what's going on here is also clear though. Yet again, I'm struggling to come to terms with what I need to do in the face of this small happiness felt while spending time with them.
さて、ここからはお主が昨日言った通りにしよ
はい。お願いします。
I won't be involved with them anymore. That's the ideal
タッ
outcome.
パーは返さなくていいです。正直、私もちょっと楽しかったです。だから、あんまり負い目は感じないでください。
もともと気にしとらんから大丈夫じゃよ。さて、別れる前に約束じゃ。わし
He switches to a far more grim topic before he even bothers to sit down. I honestly wouldn't have cared if he'd forgotten about his part of the promise. I still don't know if I have it in me to elect him even after learning it. Chances are high that I won't be able to since I've gotten disattached to them both, so I'd much rather not know at all than face the regret and self-loathing over knowing yet being unable to elect them. But at the same time, I can't refuse to listen now that he's brought it up.
孤独死というのはわかるじゃろ。
はい。たまにニュースでは見ますから。
わしもその一例じゃよ。
Elderly people living on their own is already a problem in its own right. The risk of them passing away without anyone noticing gets high if they have no relatives or friends in their neighborhood to check up on them. I expected this to be the case for him after hearing how rumors had spread about him having starved to death and whatnot.
わしは腰痛があっての、ふとした拍子で痛みが来て動けなくなることも多い。じゃからなるべく缶詰や即席料理なんかを買いためておったんじゃ。まともな料理をしておると急に動けなくなってガスも止められず火事なんてことになりかねんしの。
Where are you going?
それは言い訳かもしれんが、それはいい。雨の日じゃったかの。これまでで一番ひどい腰痛が来た。わしは動けなくなってしまった。はって動くことすらできんほどじゃ。あとはわかるじゃろ。水も飯もなければ人は生きていけん。数日のうちにわしは餓死した。一日経ったあたりから記憶が曖昧での、正確な日時は思い出せん。自宅で餓死なんて情けないとは思うがの、家族に捨てられたわしの末路としてはふさわしいかもしれん。
そんなことは。
よいよい、お主も感じているとは思うが、わしはひねくれもんじゃ。あの子に会って少し変わったくらいじゃ。いや、少し戻ったという方がいいかの。家族と仲が良かった頃のわしにの。
I wish these people could live a happy life.
確かにあったんじゃよ。
Thank you for the hype time.
せめてもう一度会いたかったの。
And also thank you for the posture check. 1 second.
いかんの。年寄りになると辛気臭くなる上に話が長くなる。
はい。
わしのことを脱落させにくくしているわけじゃないんじゃよ。これは本音じゃ。
My back.
He's spoken his regret loud and clear. A regret so simple that anyone could understand it. If there's one thing I know for sure at this point, is that I won't be able to elect him without hesitation.
では、私はもう行きますね。
夜も遅いから気をつけるんじゃよ。
ありがとうございます。
I don't have much to say regarding his cause of death. There's no doubt that my facial expression as he told me was enough to get across how I felt though. As I approach the entrance, I knock echoes down the hall. Someone's at the door.
ちょっと待っておれ。こんな時間に。借金取りじゃないといいがの。
Uh-oh. He stumbles back and falls flat on his rear right after looking through the peephole. I'm not sure what he's seen, but the knocking grows even more fierce.
お主は。
Oh, fuck. Please, please let it not be Alan. Please, 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 please. He hurries back to his feet and reaches for the door once he recalls he has not locked it. I'm shocked his back hasn't given out, but it seems he's faring much better in that regard due to divine selection, much like how Sonia's illness had subsided. Now it's obvious what's going on. It has to be those two. I try to get to the door, but Shigetsugu stops me. Not like it would have mattered either way, since the door has already been opened. They probably noticed it was unlocked before Shigetsugu. Fuck! I knew it! Listen, I was just about to say, we haven't seen Alan ever since he first showed up on this week. Turns out to be none other than numeral 12, Alan Scorpion. He grabs Shigetsugu by the collar before closing the door behind him. The sheer differences in height and build caused Shigetsugu to get lifted right into the air by his shirt. Part of me wishes numeral 4 was down here with us. There was no opportunity to call for him though, not to mention that it'd probably be for nothing if all the noise so far hadn't woken him up.
なぜ君が
11の人じゃない。
まあいい。
He returns his attention to Shigetsugu.
まずは貴様からだ。
ちょっと待ってください。いきなりやってきて。
This guy would have killed a baby and you were there when it happened.
君はまた他人に肩入れしているのだな。
Maybe?
あなたには関係ない。
I can't lie, right now I'm terrified. Those frigid eyes alone are enough to instill fear in most people, but add in his build and lack of hesitation to use force like this. I can't run away though, I won't abandon Shigetsugu. If you ask me why, well, I'm not quite sure.
それに私が人を呼んだら不利なのはあなたの方だ。
僕ならそれより早く君の動きを止めら。
待って。話を。
声を出すのは僕が質問をした時だけにするんだ。
わしは貴様の未練を知っておる。
何？
だから話を。
Although hesitant, he eventually releases Shigetsugu, and Shigetsugu lands on his backside again. Fortunately, it doesn't seem to have hurt all that much.
お主、焦っておるな。
余計なことはいらない。貴様の情報だけ話せ。
3と11の参加者がうちに来たのを見ておったのだろう。
だからなんだ。
安心せえ。うちには優秀なボディーガードがおっての。あやつらにわしの未練は知られてはおらん。使命と死因は知られたかもしれんがの。
なら無用な説明はいらないな。僕はお前の使命しか知らない。
He takes a threatening step towards Shigetsugu. The height difference between them is staggering. How intimidating to have someone of his stature look down at you from so close.
待ってください。私はすでに牛塚さんの情報を知っています。
Linka, for once, please care about your own life.
その意味がわかりますか？あなたはすでに同時使命のリスクを負っている。
僕の使命を君も知っているだろう。そして使命を軽んじるのは不本意だが、今となっては使命の優先権を得るために
私だってあなたに知られています。だったらもうためらう必要はないです。
君のその瞳が僕をざわつかせるんだ。
I don't want to know what kind of feelings those are.
僕も自身のカードを2枚晒すリスクは負えないな。だが君に未練を知られるのも今となっては危険かもしれない。なるほど。この状況は力では解決できそうにない。
I can hardly believe that I was able to talk him down. Maybe thanks to what he pulled at the hospital with Keiko. There's no way the police wouldn't have eyes on him after that. Makes sense if he's trying to tread carefully.
欲を出してはいけないな。僕の目的は君が言った通り、3番と11番の情報だ。昨日の朝以降。
They meant our friendship knife.
やっぱりあの人たちの動向が知りたかったんですね。
言ったろ。わしの家にはボディーガードがおるとな。
Are we winning? Maybe.
だが、この家に貴様の未練への手がかりがあることはこれではっきりしたな。
I'm not sure how he managed to figure that out based on what Shigetsugu said, which means I need to really watch what I say from here on out. I might have convinced him for now, but there's no guarantee things will keep going smoothly.
貴様が言うボディーガードとは誰のことだ？ この家には子供が居候していたが、まさプロを雇う金もないだろう。まだ姿を見せない9番の男も結託しているのか。
Excuse me? Cat is not a paid actor. But the cat wants to be in the stream too? Baby.
どうじゃかな。
True though, we have not seen number 9 yet.
その線はなさそうだな。貴様は一瞬僕を見上げるよりも上を見た。
It's
9番の男の顔を思い出していたというところだ。
お主、何者じゃ。
Oh, number 9 left? Oh, maybe.
余計なことはいい。侮れないな。あんな少女が連中を撃退するとは。
I start to fret over just how much he can glean from the tiniest bit of information. You meant my cat, okay. Yeah. No, mine is red. Still, the statement proves that even he makes mistakes. Hearing him sim the wrong gender just decided serves as a bit of relief.
あの子はの、3の男にしばらくは行動できないくらいの怪我を負わせたと言っておった。連中は協力しているみたいじゃから、11の女も数日は動けないじゃろうよ。
悪いな。あんたの予想を裏切っちまってよ。
No, 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 no. Immediately after hearing that voice, I feel my body gets sent flying toward the wall. Lucky for me, it is the wall where one of Shigetsugu's coats is hanging, so it cushions the impact for me. The coat built numeral 11, she made her way in and knocked me aside straight away.
ほらよ。
貴様、いつから。
たった今だ。
His sights are locked on Alan. Surely he holds the upper hand based on physical build alone. Doesn't stop her from kicking at him like a bucking bronco in a narrow hallway though. I should call for help. I should, but I can't bring myself to move. I'm not like Alan. The fear I have toward her in the dream world pales in comparison to how I feel now. This is someone who takes pleasure in harming others. It's entirely possible that she target me if I make even the slightest move or raise my voice. That terrifies me. I don't even have it in me to try and negotiate with her. Ooh.
その体は伊達じゃねえか。
Can you two like duke it out outside? Alan is no slouch either. I'm not quite sure how to describe his fighting style. He keeps finding opportunities to strike back after dodging and parrying. Ooh! I can tell how powerful each of her blows are based on the loud smacks heard when Alan blocks each one. Neither is able to score a direct hit on the other, and this long narrow hallway doesn't allow them to move sideways, so they pressure one another without moving from their initial positions. Don't destroy the old man's home! Right?
私はこのジジイの未練を探しに来た。
僕も。
なら協力するのも悪くないんじゃねえか。
断る。
断る。
このジジイ、てめえの情報をどれか持ってるな。
Letting your guard down now, even for a split second, could prove fatal. Even I know that much. But Ellen seems to have done just that. She wastes no time in delivering a swift kick to his guard, causing him to back away. This might sound weird, but I'm rooting for him this time. I need him to win for my own sake. Neither are my ally, but Ellen was at least willing to talk. That makes him a safer bet than a woman. And as much as it pains me, I'm praying that numeral 4 will come down to save us. That's how powerless I am in this situation. Ellen takes another step back to create more distance between them, which effectively corners him.
そうでもなきゃ、てめえは会話に応じるやつじゃねえ。気がするな。会話の内容はそうだな。そっちのガキがジジイを脱落させる情報を揃えそう。一番がジジイを指名する可能性がある以上、てめえがジジイの情報を知ったところで二重指名のリスクが残る。それでどうしようか考えていた。そんなところだね。
I still wonder how your top stays on face.
貴様は話しながら考えをまとめるタイプなのだ。そのおかげで貴様の仲間が あの少女になすすべなく撃退されていこう。どうやら過大評価していたようだよ。
Alan takes this opportunity to deliver a counterattack. He lands a solid hook against her shoulder, which causes her to retreat back to her initial position.
なあ、私とてめえでこの家を仲良く探すって選択肢はないのか？
ない。貴様と同時指名になり、優先権の争いになるリスクは変わらない。この家の住人たちを守るようで不本意ではある。貴様を追い返さないといけないようだ。
Wouldn't anyone in the neighborhood hear all this? She grins from ear to ear. Then I notice that Shigetsugu has managed to slink off during all this. Just as I start to wonder where he snuck off to, footsteps from the stairway give me my answer.
待て、隠れておればいい。
嫌だよ。おじいちゃんが危ないんでしょ。
Ah, fuck. The footsteps belong to numeral 4, who comes running down the stairs. Obviously, they think numeral 4 is playing the video game. He's likely just woken up, but he doesn't seem tired at all.
増えてる。
貴様、強いのだったな。手伝ってくれ。
あっちが敵で、こっちは敵じゃない。いいの？おじい。
Shigetsugu reveals himself just long enough to nod an affirmation.
2対1か。楽しめそうだ。
Numeral 11 shows no fear, just as her words imply the prospect of this fight has her thrilled. But just before they can start, the blaring of police sirens pierce the walls of the— Yes! They're getting louder, closer.
残念だが潮時か。また戦おうぜ、アラン・スコーピオン。社長様。
やはり知られていたか。
She bursts out of the house immediately after, uninterested in hearing any replies. The sirens continue for a while afterwards, so I assume she manages to get away. I'm relieved that one problem has resolved itself, but I have to at least admire her ability to react and make snap judgments like she did.
近所の誰かが通報したのかの。
Hallelujah!
いえ、私が友達に頼んで通報してもらいました。
なんじゃと？
言い訳はお願いします。
I couldn't bring myself to speak up, let alone move. Numeral 9 was wary of me the entire time, but her line of sight was focused on Alan. Wait, what? That's a typo, right? This should be numeral 11. Gave me enough of a window to message Miharu. I gave her this address and asked her to call the police. It was a gamble, not knowing if she'd actually check her phone, but the cards were in my favor this time.
警察？おじいちゃん何にも悪いことしてないよ。
大丈夫。そうじゃなくても来る時があるの。ややこしくなるから、ちょっと隠れていよう。
仕方ない。
We pile into Shigetsugu's room just as the police park in front of the house. The three of us sit in silence. There's something surreal about me, numeral 4, and Alan all hiding in a room together like this. The fact that Alan has agreed to it proves that I'm right. He's avoiding the police. I figured he was a monster before, but this fight with numeral 11 made it all the more clear. His skills have nothing to do with him being a man or his massive build. I'm willing to bet that he could take on an armed officer and win, but even he doesn't want to turn the entire police force against him.
どうにかなったわい。
Shigetsugu comes along to rescue us from the suffocating silence.
なら、もういいな。
おや、これからこの子にカレーを温めてあげようと思ったところじゃが。
You're offering an Indian guy a Japanese curry.
わーい。起きたらお腹が空いてたから食べたかったんだ。ちょっと。
あんなことをされはしたが、わしらを助けてくれたんじゃ。まあ。
Listen, I don't want to body up with Alan of all people.
あんなこと？
よいよい。ほれ、待っておれ。
He removes the leftovers from the fridge and pours it all into a pot before Alan even gets a chance to answer.
カルダモン、ターメリック。悪くはないか。いただこう。
He takes a seat at the table as expressionless as ever. As much as I want to flee right now, I'm a bit too concerned
ってことは、
now.
12番のお兄さんは敵じゃない？
今はな。
あれ？でもお兄さんも選定の参加者なんだよね。
あ
あ。でも どうしておじいちゃんを守ったの？
守ったわけではない。偶然利害関係が一致しただけだ。
利害？
ああ。
そっか、よくわかんないけど敵じゃないならまあいっか。それよりお姉ちゃんのカレーとっても美味しいんだよ。
そうか。
でね。
I start to panic as I listen to the painful exchange. The lack of emotion on Alan's face makes it impossible to tell when he exploded over numeral 4 acting overly friendly.
貴様はどうしてあの老人と一緒にいる？
What makes you say that?
貴様？
君のことだ。
おじいちゃんがね、僕を拾ってくれたんだよ。僕、記
Yeah,
憶
should
喪
tell
失って
everyone
や
your
つみたい
amnesia
だったから。
story. That's a good idea.
そうか。3番の男を退かせたのも体に技術が身についていたというわけか。
それ話しちゃっていいんだ。
I'm surprised by how readily he divulges such crucial info. Alan may not be his enemy for now, but that's no reason to go and tell him everything. And I can recognize other people. I definitely can. But like, to be quite honest, the first thing I always notice about Alan is just his massive boobs. Those are not boobs, yes they are.
アレンでいい。
Booba! I wasn't sure how to address him, but he wasted no time in providing a fake name. He must be aware that I know his true name. I'll consider doing the same, but I'll leave it at all unless
ア
he
レン
asks.
さんはこの後どうするつもりなの？
Make me bring up the hydrate. This was an objective. What do you say? How do you say it? Fuck, I don't know. I don't know the word. There was nothing that would that we would need to hydrate for. Just me making an observation. That was the word I was looking for.
物騒な話は食事を終えてからでもよかろう。
I wanted to try and finish this week, but I don't think I will. There's so many characters in this one. Shigetsugu butts in as he brings the curry over. He only carries 2 plates since neither him nor me will be having any. Alan nods in response to the proposition. When I think about it, Alan's from India. Knowing as someone from the land of curry is about to eat my rendition of it makes me a touch nervous.
おいしい。
これは。
My gut sinks the moment he takes a bite. There's a huge contrast between the slow, disinterested way he eats in comparison to how numeral 4 wolfs us down. Wait, why am I nervous at all?
こんなところまで似ているとはな。
This is longer than previous week. When he noticed he said something, my eyes meet his.
家族がかつて戯れに日本のカレールーを買ってきたことがあるだけだ。
奥さんとかですか？
He glares at me in response.
僕のことを探っているのか。
No, you mentioned your family.
否定はしませんけど、深い意味はありませんでした。
そうか。もっともこれは一般に知られている情報だが、僕は見込んだ。
ごちそうさま。
Tension is birth thanks to that outburst. I'm so glad he has no idea how to read between the lines. I never expected Alan to talk about family though. It's pretty normal for most people, but I somehow thought he was one of those rare souls who had no attachment to them. I think his regret is definitely rooted in something related to his family though. On the side, I assume he didn't think the curry tasted bad since he didn't say anything about
ス
it.
プーンを使うのはそんなに珍しいか。
いや、そんなことも思ってもなかったですけど。
Think about it, I guess I always do imagine people from India eating curry without utensils. I guess they only do that when eating a red naan, but since he's eating Japanese curry, I don't think about it until he brings it up. The look on his face as he asks though, it's so meek I can't help bursting out in laughter.
僕の国は日本では偏見を強く持たれているらしいな。
いや、そうじゃなくって。
He seems a little peeved, judging by the tone of his voice. My nerves, coupled with the fact that he always seems impossible to read, make it all the harder to hold back my laughter. He eventually brushes me off. He hands numeral 4 his plate and spoon to be taken to the sink. Not long after, Shigetsugu makes tea for all 4 of us. Alan takes a whiff of the tea before switching his cup with Shigetsugu's before taking a sip. His face contorts immediately. I can tell if it's an issue with Shigetsugu's so-called blend or Japanese tea in general, but he's more expressive than I expect. Meanwhile, numeral 4's rolling his head around on a table out of boredom until Alan breaks the silence.
さて、重次。僕には少し発音がしづらい名前だが、それはいい。 僕の目的はすでに分かっているな。
わしらの情報カードじゃろ。
Yep, 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 yep.
ああ、最終的にはここにいる全員を脱落させるが、そう欲張りはしない。
Couldn't we work together and eliminate number 3 and 11?
意外じゃの。わしらを脅迫してでも情報を集めると思ったがの。
その少年は記憶喪失と言っていた。であれば脅したところでカードは出てこないだろう。そして君も同じだ。未だ手がかりがない。これは僕の勘ではあるが、不確定にもかかわらず強引な手段に出れば長期的に見て不利になる。
Amazing how he can say that after what he pulled with Keiko. And he thinks numeral 4 is a girl. It proves that even he makes mistakes. Shigetsugu said that Alan's actions seem desperate. I feel like that applies even more with what he did to Keiko. However, I'm surprised that not knowing the contents of my own cards should work out for me like this. As for Alan's comment, numeral 4 is the first to respond.
勝手なこと言わないでよ。それはおじいちゃんが脱落するってことじゃないか。そんなことさせないよ。この人は今から敵。
落ち着くんじゃ。わしが嫌じゃと言ったらどうするつもりじゃ。
予想はついているだろう。ここまで来た以上、ただ引き返すことはできない。
やっぱり僕がこの人を。
わしはお主らが傷つくのを見たくはない。それにアレンと言ったか。
でしょうね。
I'm ready to make my escape whenever necessary, but I doubt I could even reach the hall safely should Alan target me for real. I could negotiate with him thanks to the info I have on Shigetsugu, but right now I'd much rather maintain the status quo.
わしの情報を教えよう。ただし条件がある。
聞かせろ。
わしが脱落するまでの間、この家を守ってほしいということじゃ。11の女性はわしの家を狙うじゃろうからの。
That's a funny idea.
わしやこの子が傷つかんよう守ってほしいんじゃ。
僕があの女から貴様らを守ったとして、もう一つ懸念があるのはわかるな。
He cast his gaze over to me.
わかりました。アレンさんが牛塚さんの条件を飲むなら、私は牛塚さんの
And I
指名を
mean,
行
we
いま
have
せ
the
ん。
right to be the first to choose who to elect someone because we're number 1, so we cannot screw him over by electing someone after him.
ちょっと待ってよ。いらないよ。あの人が来ても僕がおじいちゃんを守るよ。
Are you sure? The kid's visibly flustered. What is going on with me tonight? Hold on a second. But it's Alan who opts to respond.
まだわからないのか。
Hey.
何が？
重次は君を傷つけたくないと言っているんだ。
僕を？
あなたにもわかるんですね。家族がいるからですか？
その質問には答えない。
そうなの？おじいちゃん。
当然じゃ。お前は強いかもしれん。じゃが、わしはお前が怪我をするところは見たくない。
でも僕が勝てれば。
思い上がらない方がいい。僕が君と本気で戦うとなれば、
無傷で済むとはわしには思えん。
It's clear that Shigetsugu sees him as family. There's a direct parallel to what he's saying now and Keiko's action when Alan took her son hostage. Alan's face is as expressionless as ever, so I can't tell if he created the situation on purpose or if it's a mere coincidence.
おじいちゃん。
I would throw hands of that child!
僕がおじいちゃんの敵をやっつけるから喜んでくれると思ったのに、おじいちゃんがこの人たちのカードを集めれば守れるんじゃないの？
同じことじゃ。彼らから情報を引き出すのは容易ではない。
悪いが家族ごっこは後でやってくれ。一つ目の条件は飲もう。ただし選定の日までどこかの部屋を提供してもらう。
Jesus Christ, buddy. Why are you like this? Ouch. He clarifies his reasoning after seeing Shigetsugu's surprise.
僕としてもこの国で自由に動けない。数日でも滞在先ができるのは悪い条件ではない。
いいじゃろ。ただし2つ目の条件も飲んでこそじゃぞ。
分かっている。
いい。
Humor forced and submit conversation almost in a deliberate attempt to interrupt
も
them.
ういいよ。ちょっと。
He leaves the room immediately. Ellen doesn't seem phased, but the same can't be said about Shigetsugu.
すまんが少し待っていてくれ。
There's no reason to worry about his safety on the streets at night, but it's entirely possible he could start something with the police if they approach him. Leaving Ellen here by himself is too risky, though. It's pretty scary to sit here all alone with him, but I stay behind regardless.
やれやれだ。
あなたのこと勘違いしていました。もっと常識がない人だと。
そうか。
Perhaps buying time through conversation isn't my best idea since I'm no good at it, and he makes it a point to say as little as possible. I think I'm going to make this a good point to stop though, because I fear that we are in for quite a long round still. Don't mind me. Just seems that my body wants to bleed every time I stream lately. This is fine. I'm gonna, because this game doesn't really have chapters and it's really hard to tell when something like will continue for a long time or not. So I'm just gonna do a funny and we will go back to the main menu now, where we will probably have a song again. Yes, thank you, there's a song. We had almost 3 hours anyway on this fine, nice Sunday. There's so much happening. Every single time Rinka actually meets a character and we get to know them a little better, I start to like them. Which, I mean, is of course how it would go, because now I know more about them. But if this game actually gets me to sympathize with Ellen now, I'm gonna scream. Like, obviously Ellen has his own problems and his own regrets and everything, but still. There's still no extra. This is the format though, at least you know most of the cast by now. That is true. There's only number 9 we have not seen at all. Or like, we are not aware if it's number 9. Mayhaps we have seen the character themselves. But we are not aware of it as players. When are we gonna sympathize with the hot man? What hot man? What hot man are you talking about? Well, Ellen is a hot man, but other than that, can't say I've seen a lot of hot men. Okay, though. Both of them. What do you mean, both of them? Are you telling me you think Federico is hot? Is that what you're saying? Wait to shame me? Find it weird how they hide specific characters. I always feel like there should be a time at the beginning where Rika looks at everyone else and you get to see their sprite. Federico looks like a twink. Yeah, not a nice twink. Ouch. Please, body, stop bleeding. Piercings and tats. I mean, yeah, but he himself, he's... No, I don't like him. His personality sucks. So his piercings cannot save him. His piercings cannot save him. Alrighty though. That is going to be it. That is going to be it for tonight. When you make me feel empathy towards the skinny man. Well. Well. I say I say I still have no clue where this game is going to lead us, but I'm very interested in finding out. Ouch. And we're going to find out more on Wednesday again. I'm gonna post the schedule later, but it's going to be the same as this week, except I will actually try and stream on Saturday this week. Next week, I mean. So, Fatal 12 on Wednesday and Sunday, because I still have no clue how close we are to getting anything done in this game. But I think there's quite a few things left still, and then Audience Fair on Friday and Saturday. Someone's gonna lucid dream a weapon to the curtain and strangle the white. Me! I want to lucid dream a weapon. Let me at the goddess. I hate her. It was a nice dream. Yes, do not forget we will raid. And for once, Moniko is live at an earlier time than normal. Pass is gonna get it at an earlier time than usual. So I'm just gonna take the chance to go raid Moniko. But this time I will not forget to switch to my ending screen like I did last time. Ha ha ha. There we go. Absolute change of mood, as always. Here you go. Here's the raid message. And I wish you all a very good night. Thank you so much for coming. Good night and bye bye.